Yo, what's up, good people? It's your man's Chris Thorns here with another live show tonight. Uh, as y'all can see, the name of the topic is what is the definition of a coon? First of all, let me give my man's Young Jay props for helping me come up with this idea. We was talking earlier about this, and he's a guy that's a pro-black. I say he one of the good guys that's a pro-black because he doesn't use this word as a form of attack. So when we was talking earlier, this term came up. So he gave me the idea to come up with the name of this topic. He asked me what's my definition of a coon, but I can't give him no definition of a coon because I do not use that word coon towards nobody, whether it's my enemies or not. So I just can't use that term. Sorry. Hold on, people. Hold on, people. My fault, y'all. Actually, that was Jay. Actually, hit me up right there. I was actually saying something to him. Jay, I'm asking praise you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Do a little rant right now, and then I'm finna put the link up in I'm finna put the link up in the chat, brother. Um, yeah, Jay's the one that gave me the idea to come up with this subject, and I can't wait for him to get on and talk about what his definition of this coon word is. But I want to start off by saying, if coon is supposed to be a form of some kind of attack, just because you're upset with me or because you don't agree with something that I'm saying, then I want y'all to think about this. If I'm then look up my record. No arrest warrants, no drug charges. I never killed anyone, no felonies, never been in no accidents, never molested a child, never killed a child, no drug charges, or none of that stuff. So if I'm a coon, just because I'm speaking my mind, then you tell me who's more danger of society, me or the people who call somebody a coon that actually has a long record. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, let's get this party started. Y'all finna post this link and so y'all can get on the panel. And I see my brother Young Jay, he in the chat. So I'm gonna get this thing up in there. There y'all go, man. Come on in. Chad, what's going on, my brother?
How you doing, dude? What's going on?
Man, it's going
Chad
good, man.
Factor in the building. What's going on, man?
I almost got a real bad delay, man.
What's up,
All
Renee?
I gotta say is a coon is a person that will kill another black
Hold on,
person.
wait.
Exactly.
Yeah, brother. That's
That's what
all,
it's
yeah,
called.
brother.
Renee,
There's
is you
some more
there?
brothers coming in.
She freeze up?
Yeah, she there. No, she there.
I think her,
Speak, Lene.
her mic is muted.
Yeah, go ahead, Lene. You can speak. Yes, I hope she ain't
Thank
frozen.
you.
Yeah,
No,
we
I'm
need
here.
Lene. We need Lene to talk more. Let's give Lene the. We need to give Lene 15
I
minutes to
know,
just
right?
talk, because I love when Lene talks.
I probably won't talk a whole lot tonight. I don't really know that much about this word, but I'm curious to hear what other
You
people
see
have
that,
to say.
Chad? She's white and don't know what the coon word really is about. But they don't use it no more. We do. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
why.
man, my man CJ here. Where you been, young brother?
Hey, man, what's going on with you?
Man, no man. How you be, bro?
Real good, real good. How about yourself?
It's
Man,
CJ
I'm
fool.
doing good, brother. Good to
How
see
y'all
you,
doing?
CJ. Good to
What's
see
going
you,
on, man?
brother. What you like the one of the locals? Those locals kick your ass. Those locals kick your face. Those locals kick your balls into outer
That's what we do
space.
now.
All right, now Chris,
That one of my favorite movies.
give me just 60 seconds, right? Let me
All right,
address
hold on,
something.
hold on. I know where you want to go. Yeah, I know where you want to go. Hold on. Let me let Jay at least get on. Where you at, Jay?
Chicka 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 cherry, cherry.
Don't tell me Paul having a problem getting on again. Hold on.
Yeah, because I was saying if you keep post like in the chat, you can open the chat or you can just make it a comment. If you keep putting the hangout link in there, it'll draw people to just click it. Because what we do is we'll put it on Facebook. Sometimes they don't even see the Facebook link. Because Google, I guess Facebook don't have it to where it's stay on the timeline or whatnot. So I don't understand that. But the YouTube link, they
Oh,
get
okay.
that. Because one person was like, I couldn't even get on the show with y'all. And I was like, oh, you see the YouTube, the hangout link.
Wait a minute. Somebody trying to get on last night show?
Uh, yeah, last night, got that name Crystal, a girl named Crystal on my list. She wanted to get on there, but
Oh,
she
yeah.
was watching it though.
You know, I fucked it up anyway last night, man. When I hung up, man, it fucked the whole process up. So hopefully I
Was
can
y'all
redeem
streaming last
myself
night?
tonight.
Think everything's
Yeah, we did, man. But I kind of fucked it up last night. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying something different now since I know how to do the live chat.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know. So when we start getting a bigger crowd, bro, you know, we can have people start chatting who can't get in. I'm looking for the man of the hour, Jay. Where he at? Who this super ego? Who is it? Oh, my bad. Never mind. My bad.
Yep,
I
yep.
see.
Yeah, where's
Where's Paul at?
where's the man with the
There go
afro?
my man C Grant. There go my
What's going
man C
on?
Grant.
What's up,
What's
Grant?
Oh,
going on, brother?
yeah. What's going on
I'm
with you?
chilling. What's up, everybody? How y'all
good.
All
doing?
right,
How you doing,
all
Chris?
right.
Everything is everything, brother. Everything is everything. I'm waiting on Paul and Jay. Jay actually is the man of the hour. He inspired me to do this show. So where he at?
So who's moving to Iceland or Antarctica? Because this country's getting crazy.
Nah, I couldn't even answer personally. Huh?
I,
You said
I
what,
know,
Chris?
I know them Chinese over there. Like, bring your fuck ass police over here. I know they like, bring your fucking law
You
enforcement
know
over
what?
here.
Hey, yo. Look. Check this out. Look, P, I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say, man. Cause when Jay get on, man, we're gonna go get into the topic, man. So, what Huggy finna speak on? I don't know if y'all seen it, Chad or CJ or whatnot, but Huggy P had a debate with this brother named Brandon. Damn good debate, in my opinion, man. A damn good debate. I was the moderator, but uh, saw a comment. You know, I guess it's not sitting too well with him, whatnot. And some of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
comment was
man.
reference to me. Some of the comments were reference to me as well, but this person didn't really just say nothing bad. But you know,
Yes, they
it's
did.
just funny to me.
Yes, they did.
But it's just funny to me that when it comes to black women, And when they don't disagree with you, they like to use one of them terms called "this person ain't on your level." Well, if they not on your level, first of all, why you subscribe to my channel? And second of all, why you choose to do the debate since we not on each other's level? So,
Exactly.
I'm gonna let this man speak his piece of what he saw, and we'll take it from there.
First of all, to the lady that made the comment on his channel, Brandon Hotep, she related my comment about 16-year-olds related to 34. Of course, she said 60, so that was a lie. I never said 60. See, you blown the comment out of proportion that I made. Plus, he agreed with it. Am I right, Chris?
Yeah.
See, my thing was that a 16-year-old and a 34-year-old can relate. Because what if I'm the 34-year-old that never experienced anything about being poor? And let's say this 16-year-old has been working, trying to provide for his family, and he has no parents.
Right.
See, you can't just try to
Mm,
put that on the surface and just say, let's just write off the fact that he's young. And that's what he brought up. But when he was, he became incorrect. He said, well, we're in bullshit territory. Let's go to something else. Like, let's stay on subject. I'm like, dog, you brought this to the table. Another thing, relentlessly cutting him off. Nobody was cutting him off. He was cutting me off, but that's how it is in debates. When somebody's incorrect and they feel like something needs to be addressed, you address it. I let him do it to me. I did it to him. Just because Chris was moderating, I guess that seemed like an unfair thing, but Chris didn't say much. I think he asked, what, 2 questions? The whole time we were on for an
yeah,
hour?
probably about 2 questions. Probably
So
about two
first of
questions,
all, to the
and you was
lady,
like, we can subject.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? And then when you got to the deep part of the second question, oh, we off subject when we was talking about the woman that killed her 4 kids, because you know what? The black woman is God. So they don't want to address the fact that this woman killed her 4 kids, like, 'cause he's in out of bound territory with his so-called understanding of the black woman. So this another thing I want to say. Out of an entire hour, this woman found one thing that was ignorant, and that's all she could say about me not being on his level, which was ignorant in her own right. So what I want to do is say to that lady,
Mm,
if you want to do a part 2 debate, because first of all he lied and said I didn't hold up our bargain to a second debate. No, we were supposed to send him a link to come to the conversation like everybody here. We didn't have a second debate planned. First of all, 'cause that's a lie too. So first of all, I
you
tell
know
you
what?
what, we could do a part 2 debate, and we'll let that lady be the moderator, and she can set it up. That way, you can say it's even playing field or not. Because all we did our thing, we put it out, let the people decide.
Mm. And let me add this in too, brother. That's another thing too. I saw that coming too, where he said they didn't go with the second debate. What second debate? I didn't know it was supposed to be a second debate. And then second of all, he knew I had to go to work, so why would you throw that out there like we trying to discredit what you're doing? I'm not discrediting the brother. I think he did a damn good job in the debate. For y'all who
Indeed.
saw it, do y'all agree?
I agree. Yeah.
Did you see it, Chris Grant? Did you see
I
it?
didn't see it, so
Because I want to learn about that method of reading. I want to get involved with those classes, bring my son to them. I want to do all that, but I ain't fucking with no liars. Excuse my French.
Right. C Grant,
Period.
did you see the debate, brother?
No. What was the topic?
No,
Wait,
no,
say it
C
again.
Grant. I'm talking about Chris Grant. Chris Grant, did you see the debate?
Oh yeah, I watched it. It was pretty interesting. I'll get what's going on.
Right. Right. CJ, you have to go on my page once it's over and just look up on my page Huggy P versus Brandon. Damn good
All
debate.
right. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a brother named Omega on the line. I spoke with this brother Friday night, and he's giving me a little bit of his time to join the show tonight. He's from Australia. How you doing, Omega?
There you go. Can you
Say,
hear me
repeat
all
that
right?
again. I hear you.
Can you
I
hear
hear
me
you.
all right?
What's going on? Is that
Yes, sir.
anonymous?
Yes, sir. Huh?
No, this is Omega. This is Omega speaks, my friend.
Yeah, I
I've
like that logo. It kind of reminds you of anonymous. So, but that's cool. What's going
Yeah.
on with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
No, that's
from
just some stupid
Australia.
crap I found on the internet. You're gone, man.
Yeah, he's from Australia. I talked with him in Redemption on Friday. This is a good brother, man, and I can't wait for y'all to hear him speak if you get a chance to speak tonight. As a matter of fact, Omega, if you don't mind me asking the subject, what's the definition of the word coon? Have you ever heard this word before, or have you ever been called this word before?
Yeah, well, it's thrown around sometimes over here in Australia, generally by retards. But it's basically, it's a derogatory term, of course. It's
Uh,
actually in Australia, it's used to, it's thrown at white people and black people and just about every kind of person.
mm,
But it's basically the word in Australia basically means somebody who doesn't look after themselves, somebody who's if you go over to their house and the house is all filthy and they're not looking after themselves, this term is used, and it's generally a derogatory term. It's used by like I said, it's used by half-wit knobheads. But I think I think definitely there's in Australia there's also a racial connotation to the word. Personally, I don't like the word. It's a derogatory word all around. I don't know what the context of the word is in America, but over here it's used. It's used to put people down, especially the traditional landowners here in Australia. People I've got a great respect for. But it's a different demographic here, guys. I mean, we're talking about a tribal culture. You guys have such different social issues over there, such a different historical background.
mm,
But yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of Aboriginal friends over here in Australia, and the word's not. If somebody was calling us that, I mean, you got to understand. When I was a young bloke, I was living on the street. These Aboriginal fellas took me into their house. They looked after me. You know what I mean? If somebody was
yeah,
calling them that, I probably would have started beating on them, to be honest.
right. So, over there where you at is used as a form of attack too when somebody disagree with you, right?
Yeah, it's generally a derogatory racist term, but it's also used and it's also directed at whites as well. But it's always a derogatory term. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, and the man of the hour, he just popped in. So let me ask you your opinion first. 'Cause I know you probably got just a little bit of time. 'Cause I understand you at work. Why do you
Yeah.
think, in your opinion, that people use this word? I mean, excuse me, this word to attack you because they don't agree with you. Why they can't just say, "Hey, I don't agree with what you said, and here's why." Why do you think they attack you with their word?
Because they're freaking retards, mate. It's as simple as that. If you want to get into a debate with somebody, come with a logical debate. And I mean, I've been online half the night dealing with a bunch of knobheads over the Nice attacks. These socialist leftist wankers who've got no brains at all. The only thing they've got is these labels, these name calling. They don't know anything, and quite frankly, I've got no respect for people like this. I've got no respect for people who just revert to name calling. Basically, it's code for I don't know, so I'm just going to call you names and try and shout you down like a frickin' retard. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what and I've got to tell you too. We had a Black Lives Matter march in Australia yesterday. Believe it or not,
Oh wow! Tell
unbelievable.
me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me
Just
about
just
it.
just a bunch of knobheads over in Melbourne. They've just the socialist left. I'm starting up a YouTube channel. I'll be talking extensively on the socialist left and postmodernism and this whole movement, which is dividing our societies right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
just such a load of crap. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't bring the
Mm.
community together. It divides people. It's all about professional victimhood. It's just a load of bullshit. Um,
Right.
so a bunch of, and most of these kids in Melbourne were university students, and that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. It's coming out of university campuses, through your gender studies, and through the various, new leftist studies that are going into university campuses, and basically, and you've got to understand the work that's been done in reconciliation between the Indigenous landowners in Australia and the general white population has been fantastic over the years. We have a very close relationship, and things like racial hatred are just becoming very limited here in Australia. And now you've got these Black Lives Matter knobheads marching, and what they're going to do is they're actually going to increase racial hatred. They're going to create a forum, an environment where racial hatred can increase, and that's all these movements do, because they are inherently racist themselves, and they're freaking stupid, and I'm sick to death of them. I hope that may answer the question. I can just rant on and on and on, so I'll stop. Okay.
Hey, man, you know, hey, this a free form, man. Whenever we talk about a topic, brother, whenever you come on, man, you know, hey, speak your mind. You know, there's no limit. Only thing we ask, you know, we respect everybody on the panel, but I'm pretty much sure I had no problem with you on them, because when I talked to you Friday with Redemption, you was very respectful, man. And I'm glad they getting a chance to hear you speak, because, you know, Friday was a damn good conversation. I actually tried to record it, but I did something wrong and it didn't record right. So I thank you for the time that you. Yeah, he said he recorded too, so I'm asking if he can send me a copy as well. I'm actually waiting on him to come, but I think he handling the situation right now. But I do appreciate your time, brother. Anytime you gotta leave, you just drop out. But I thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'll stick around for a while. I've got a bit of time here. Okay, you guys go. If you
no
want my
problem,
opinion,
bro.
if somebody wants to speak.
Hey, I will. No problem.
I think that finger means he wants to speak.
My brother. EK, my brother. Welcome back. How you doing, brother? EK.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't wanna.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't wanna.
Okay, then.
I was in front of the TV. What's up?
Okay, welcome back, brother. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the black background, but you know, power's on tonight. It's like a power of reunion, I think. Yeah, so I don't wanna jump in and have you guys hear background noise.
I appreciate it.
So it's good.
I'm glad you were able to join this topic, man. So let me start off with my pro-black brother Jay, since he gave me the ambition to do this show. Jay, welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
What's up, Jay?
What up?
What up, Jay? Look who
Can y'all
we
hear me?
got. Yeah, we can hear you, brother. You know, CJ came, man. We got CJ on. You know, we ain't seen
Yeah,
him in a
I added
minute.
him. I added him to the hangout.
Hey, I appreciate that. All right, Jay. So, me and you and a lot of folks were talking earlier about this. You brought up the word coon, and if you don't mind me letting people know that you say you are pro-black, right?
Yes, sir.
We talked about the word coon, and you asked me what was my definition of coon, and my response to you was, I don't have a definition because I don't use this word. Not even towards my enemies, I don't use this word because I can't just really use a word that I don't understand what the hell the meaning of it is. But you gave a little definition of it, brother. So I want to start with you, man. Tell us, in your opinion, what's the definition of this word, and why do people use it as a form of attack? We heard Omega View, but you the man of the hour, brother. So this is on you. You let us know what's up, brother. Speak your mind.
Well, the original definition of a coon is what white people used to call blacks. Same thing, almost along as porch monkey, coons. They related that to like monkeys and all that shit. But blacks have turned around and used the definition almost like how we use the word nigga, and used it almost towards we created our own definition of it. But my definition of a coon is a black person that specifically gets on TV or media and says outrageous and ignorant things that are not factual and are not logic. Like Chris, I gave you an example where Stacey Dash said the BET Awards are racist. If you look up what the guy Dexter Manley said, I forgot specifically what he said, but even the thing that he said, even the white dude that was on the panel looked at him like, what the fuck, did you really just say that? Guys like Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, guys like that. Now, I don't just go around and call anybody a coon like these idiots, retarded pro-blacks do, with no logic and don't even know what the word actually means. So, like they like to call Tommy a coon, which I don't think he's a coon. He actually speaks with very logic. I mean, he might say outrageous shit that I don't agree with, but I wouldn't call him a coon.
Right. Right. Okay. That's it for now. That's it for now.
Yeah. I'll dive in a little bit. I want to get somebody else's point of view.
All right, cool. Appreciate you, brother. And
I think
birthday,
you're
Mike.
right. I think you're right,
Hey,
mate. I
Chad.
really do.
All right, I want to ask
Go ahead,
something. To
Chad.
I just got two things. I got to ask something to the Australian brother and my pro-black brother right here.
Go ahead, brother. You got the phone.
To my Australian brother, are most of the kids? Whoa, are most of the kids white?
What the fuck?
Doesn't matter. You heard what I said?
You good, fam? What's happening?
Yeah, you all right over there, brother? You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Did you hear my question?
Nah, start back over, bro. You started jumping.
My question was to the Australian man: are most of the Black Lives Matter activists in Australia white?
Half of them, yeah, and they're knobheads as well. Just the socialist leftist sympathisers. I mean, you've got to understand these retards sympathise with stuff like radical Islam. That's how freaking immensely stupid they are. But you know, some of the black folks there do have genuine grievances. Now, you've got to understand something about me. When I grew up in a small town in outback Australia, and it had quite a redneck culture. And I departed from that, and I rejected it as an individual. As an individual, I take every man on his merit, and I thought, you know, these people are retarded, basically. So what I did was I went out and I engaged the Aboriginal community. I said, I want to learn about your culture. I want to learn about your lifestyle. I actually went and lived with them. They taught me their hunting techniques. They taught me their language. I mean, I can say, I can speak in their language because I've taken the time to actually learn a lot of their language. And I actually got to the point where I was taking young Aboriginal youth off the street in a program and teaching them their original, authentic tribal culture and getting them jobs as tour guides. So you've got to understand, I have a very close connection with these people.
You're more to help the Aboriginal people in Australia than these leftists and pro-Islamic people want to do. But these same people will defend you know, that. But I don't want to get off top. But I get your point on that.
Yeah.
But just my second question to the pro-black brother right here. So why isn't coon a black person that just kills another black person? And why do we keep using racist white terms to describe people we disagree with?
Well, I guess the definition of coon wouldn't be somebody that goes out and commits a crime. It would be, like I said, it would be the like my clear definition of it is somebody that gets on social media, the news channel, or any public forum and speaks ignorant, like the guy, like Chris Thorns. You know the guy that was on the video that was eating chicken, talking crazy about black folks not going to Africa. I mean, that was just completely out the fuck rageous. It was just stupid. And you had black people. I don't care what white people think. In my opinion, they were thumbs up from go ahead. If you have black people agreeing with it, that's fine. But he was just saying the most ignorant things about black people not going to Africa, getting food stamps, which is common sense. There's no food stamps in Africa. I mean, it was just stupid.
I didn't see it, but I mean, I know what you're talking about. So the video of him eating fried chicken. I mean, the video
eating fried chicken. This dude had his eyes bucked like he was on a slave plantation. I mean, it was just, come on, man.
I can call that.
He needed some red lipstick and some tap dancing shoes there.
Yes, exactly. That's the definition of a coon in my eyes.
Oh boy,
that's a watermelon.
That's a coon. That's a coon. Right up your alley.
That's all I got, Chris. Thanks.
So the black people on the panel, have we ever really, has anybody ever ate chicken and watermelon at the same time, really?
Not that I've
That
seen.
sounds
Not
gross.
that I've
I never
seen.
thought about doing that.
That's a weird ass
Not that
taste
I've
in your
seen.
mouth.
I think you gave me a second question. Did I answer your second question?
No, the first question was to Omega.
Yeah.
No, the
First
dude gave
question
me
was
a
to Omega.
two-part question.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
What was
No,
the
he
second
asked me.
part, Chad?
He asked me a question, then he asked you a question, man.
That's what I
Yeah, I
Okay,
thought.
think
Yeah,
his
okay,
two
that's what I
questions was
thought.
one to the other, and yeah, vice versa.
okay.
Right. All right, Paul, I'm gonna get to you last. I'm gonna
Hey
get to the
Chris.
people who are already on the panel. How you doing, brother?
Hey Chris, you good?
What's up,
Yeah,
Paul?
everything good, brother. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna get to you last, Paul. Let me hop over on the Huggy P, then EK, CJ, and C Grant. Then we're gonna dump it off on Paul. Go ahead, Huggy.
All right. I just want to say, actually, I want to speak about the topic in general. Being that my dad is 58 now, he told me that the idea of a coon is something so old that it stopped pretty much in the 80s and the 90s, and you just have people that do the stereotypical behavior, such as what we talked about, the guy in the video. I need to see that too, eating the chicken with his eyes bucked. But when you come down to like,
It's
yeah, when it
hilarious,
come
man.
down,
It's hilarious.
now, I would say this: it's a certain individual, the sheriff. What's his name? The sheriff that's always talking about black on black crime. I
Oh
understand that
yeah.
premise.
Oh
I
my
understand that
God, that
premise.
dude,
Yeah, I understand his
Jesus.
premise. But when he got on that panel with the councilman and he excused what they did to Eric Garner, stuff like that is considered cooning.
Oh yeah,
Hey, hold
that
on,
dude was definitely
hey,
Because he
cool.
said
hold
he
on,
was
y'all.
resisting arrest.
Hold on, y'all.
Oh,
Everybody else who's not talking, put your microphone on mute because I'm hearing bad feedback.
it's you, Chris.
Everybody, put your microphone on mute. Is it?
I think it's you.
It ain't me.
I'm looking for the green thing.
Something is going on, Chris. Something in the background.
Yeah, some in the background. So everybody, put your mics
Sounds
on
like a
mute.
TV.
I ain't got no TV on, so I know what I mean.
Nope. Someone else.
Just stop now. Just stop now. Whoever it is, just stop now.
No, I
Hold
think I
on,
can
but
still hear it silently.
Yeah, I just took mine
I
off mute,
just,
so
I just do it. See, I don't hear it now.
No, it's
Okay.
gone.
Uh, yeah,
It's
my
gone
bad,
now.
Hooker P. Go ahead, brother.
yeah. So you got certain individuals who really aren't cooning at all. They just have a difference of opinion because all black people do not think the same. Just like every man is not the same. And if you ask me, I think Tariq Nasheed has popularized the word in modern day to where everybody starts saying it. Then you got YouTubers like DJ Academics, which I love the guy, but he does it in a hilarious way, like calling it coonery and buffoonery. It's just his way of making funny commentary about uh, different stuff going on in the music industry, rap beefs, Chicago violence, rappers that stuff like that. So you got these two people that are popular on the internet, and people just gravitate to words. You know, it's easy to brainwash people with words, and words are powerful. So that's what it comes down to. Because about 5 or 6 years ago, wasn't nobody using that word like that. It just became popular amongst everybody.
Just like the word buck dancing.
Yeah, buck dancing. And let me use Tommy for an example. For example, when Tommy was on Corey's show, when they had the round table thing with Zoe Waves and all of them, nobody. If you ever go back and look at the old comments, nobody was calling Tommy a coon until Tyreek said he was a coon. Now you had a couple people that was calling him that, but it's like now it's just the insults have tripled since then. Like, oh, Tyreek said he's a coon, so he's a coon, and it's just ridiculous at this point.
Okay. Okay. Hold on for just a quick minute. Lene, dear.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have anything you want to add to the conversation? Because somebody in the chat room, I think they want to get in, and I want to give you a chance to say something if you don't mind. Can you let this person in?
I will be more than happy to let him in because I really don't have anything to add to it. It's just not a word that I use.
Oh.
I told you.
But I'll be more than happy to let him in.
See, Lene is a little old school. She's never really heard that word. That word is not
Yeah.
popular among white people like that. It's not that popular amongst their culture.
It's really not. Or not that I've been around. Well, everybody have a good night. I'm going to drop off so they can get on.
Oh, no.
All right, Lene.
Catch y'all on the next one.
All right, dear. Thank you so much.
Okay,
bye. Spewing. I was hoping to talk about feminism.
Well, I don't think she probably said anything about that either, to be quite honest. But we'll get on in just a minute.
Yeah.
Redemption.
Nice, though.
Redemption. It's the spot open now, brother. So come on in and she's cool, buddy. She's cool. We got to get her personal number.
Is Redemption coming on?
Yeah, I'm talking to him now. I'm talking to him now. He should be popping on in a minute if you hear me. So come on in, Redemption. Who we got? EKK?
He's a bit of a knuckle dragger.
All right, EK, you up, brother? You got the flow.
What's up, family?
What's your definition of this coon, man? And why do you think we use it as an attack, brother?
All right, family. I sat here listening to everybody, so I will. I'm going to answer the question, but I have a question of my own for the whole panel. But
go ahead,
I will tell you that, yeah. But being an American-born African, so technically an African American, I grew up African. I grew up black. I grew up knowing that these things, racism and so existed, but my purview of it has always been as an outsider looking in. I've never been of the same black culture that has been called.
Oh no, he's in and out.
Yeah, your audio going out, brother. Your audio is out.
Yeah, I think it's. Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, we
start over, man. It messed up.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
That's a shame.
Man.
I know.
I want to learn. I really want to learn about. I really want to learn about African culture in America because I really know diddly squat about it.
He was on one of the last show, and everybody was speaking some true knowledge, but we had the same problem last show too. So I don't know if he's in a bad spot, but
how does it work now?
I hear you now, bro.
Good. Yeah, I think it's every time it's a couple of things. All right. So that said, I don't look at the word coon in of itself, right? I believe at some point, if somebody's going to insult you, it's the whatever word they choose to use. It's the thought behind it. If I'm going to call you a coon, if I'm going to call you a nigga, at some point it's my intention to not only insult you, but to insult you on a level that is intrinsic to your identity. And so, at some point, coon, as it was used initially, versus on people now, really is to me no different. At some point, people who use it's kind of like this, At some point, and I'll apologize to the white members of our panel, but at some point, like a black card, you can't call a black person a nigger. You can't. At some point, the same way, we look like calling a white person a cracker, but at some point, it's almost like the black person equivalent of a white person calling a black person nigger to call another black person a coon. It's that way. It's like it's the worst thing I can do as a black person to you to say it. Now, if a white person calls me a coon, it's like, really? That's the best you can do? But a black person calling me a coon is like, really? You call me a house nigger? What are you trying to say to me? Whether it's true or not, you want to insult me the best way.
Right. So let me ask you this, brother. You mentioned the word nigger, and you mentioned the word cracker. Now, I don't know if you heard this before. You got some black people that say white people haven't earned the right to call somebody a nigger. I guess because it is offensive to us blacks when a white person say it. But I never heard anybody white say that we have earned the right to call a white person a cracker. Here's my thing on this, and I want you to tell me what you think. If nigger is a word that's so offensive for a white person to use, then shouldn't it be offensive as well for a black person to use it towards another one? Think about it. Who really earned the right to use that word? And if it's offensive for a white person to say it, why is it not offensive for us to say it? And we say it in between every sentence.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say about that. If you look chronologically as to when anybody used any racial slur to talk to anybody, who was on top, who was on the bottom. I think that's technically what would be the defining factor as to what translate as to use, whether you have earned the right. If black people were dominant at some point in history and had white people as their slaves and called them crackers, and at some point they gained their autonomy, it would be, racially, it'd just be politically incorrect to continue to call them that. We would never be able, they could call themselves that, but we would never be able to. However, them calling us niggers as their quote unquote masters would be them kind of rebelling. So at some point,
don't give out now, bro. Come on, you talking, bro. Come on, man.
What'd you say?
Man,
it's doing it again.
Knowledge is a blessing and a
curse. Yeah, it is. Man, you talking, brother. You was spitting that knowledge, brother. Look like you finna go out, but I hear you now. I hear you.
Flatline, man.
All right, look, I'm not. Let me.
Go ahead.
Hang up and call back in. Is it working or no? Because I think I know what's going on.
I can hear you now,
yeah.
But you got to.
If I go,
if you fall off,
let me walk away.
You still got to. Go ahead.
You won't see me. I can do it, and hopefully that'll work. But what I'm getting ready to say is, I don't think between either race, I don't think it's a matter of either earning the right to use a racial slur or not. But I'm wondering. This is where my question came from. At some point, if we move beyond the name calling, I'm at a loss as to why. You understand that at some point, if somebody has to call you a name or call you out or insult you, there's already a problem there of communication or positioning between the two people involved. So I don't care what name you use, but is there any way to address? Is there any way to address exactly what the? For instance, I'm gonna do this. Chris. Let's do this. So I'm gonna call you a coon right now. I'm gonna just do that in front of the whole panel. You're a coon. The fuck? You're on Hangouts. You're on YouTube. You're doing this. You're a coon. You're coon to people. Why am I doing that to you? Nigga, fuck you. I don't give a shit. What the hell are you gonna do? If I do that, what am I trying to accomplish? Why am I doing this? And to me, that has always been for instance, even between Tommy and Rashik, to between anybody, when you have these social media beefs or you have these real life beefs and they result to insults. I've watched people who have legitimate beefs sit down and talk about big issues without they might insult each other's intellect, they might insult their logic, but to get down to the nitty-gritty of insulting the person, I think that's when you realize that the person you're talking to is not really trying to resolve the issue. They just want to put you down. And that's what I'm thinking, like, why don't we address the issue of, okay, when you talk to somebody who does that, why don't we not address them, but find somebody else who will address the issue we're trying to address with them? Does that make sense? Like, if Tommy's addressing an issue and Tariq Rashid wants to address an issue and they get to name calling, well, what is the issue you want to deal with Tommy? Who can we talk to other than Tommy to address this issue? You want to address an issue with Tariq? If I want to address, you better put that stuff down, woman. Exactly. Natasha, you better go put that baby down. Who is that?
What the hell?
Yeah, I know, right? I heard it. I'm like, what?
I'm slightly hung up on the little detail, though.
I'm so thrown off. I'm like,
let me let y'all know if I go to CJ. Y'all want to? If y'all got something y'all want to say? What the
Yeah,
hell
I do.
going on? What is it?
I'm a little hung
So,
up
but
on it.
does everybody see it like I see it? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Like the name
Yeah,
calling, I
I
don't
get it.
really, I
It's
really
just an
don't.
insult. Yeah, I get it.
Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Like you can use an insult, and I don't care what insult it is, and the bigger man, the bigger woman can take the insult and say, okay, I understand you're insulting me. Great, we'll deal with that
right.
later. But what we're talking about, whatever the bone of contention is, if you can't argue it out with me, then don't argue it out. Let me find somebody else who can insult me, and I'll
Right,
beat your ass
exactly.
later, or you know what I'm saying?
I
So
am.
no, but we're talking about coon. We can talk about anything else. I can call somebody a cracker. I can call somebody, whatever it is. But why did that come up? And what were we talking about before you went there? Can we finish that
Right.
dialogue first, and then we do the MMA fighting street style later, But and that is my point. So when I hear it, it immediately it's almost everybody gets focused on. Ooh, he got called a coon. Ooh, he got called a cracker. Ooh,
Right,
he got called a Negro.
right,
And I'm thinking to
right,
myself,
right, right,
but what was the
right.
dialogue? Okay, everybody must have seen. Everybody must have seen this incredible meme that was going on social media. It was incredible. In my mind, it was quintessential to our moment. It's one of those little teacup joys where the guy says, "Oh, we get people getting shot everywhere, cops getting shot in Dallas, but motherfuckers talking about Pokemon Go." You understand how that detracts
Right,
from the
right,
conversation on the table?
right,
Right.
Okay, same
right.
thing. We have a conversation on the table. You call somebody a coon. All of a sudden, everybody focus on the coon. They don't focus on the conversation anymore. What was the
Yeah,
conversation
but
before
all the
the insults?
context.
Does that make
Exactly.
sense?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Man, go
in
ahead,
my
brother.
mind,
Go
Can
ahead.
I
and
hop
that's
in
my
real
thing.
quick?
It's like we have these conversations all day. I get worried when the name gets dropped. Boom. Who dropped it? Who's offended? Who was really talking? And I move away from the people having the argument about the slur, and I go back to the people who were having the original conversation. Which is why,
Okay,
Chris, I
EK.
apologize. I haven't been. Yeah.
Hey, EK. Go. Hold on, brother. Hold on. I think somebody want to address something that you said, but I also want to let the panel know this. The live chat is still up, so if y'all got something that y'all want to bring up, instead of trying to cut somebody off, which I'm thankful y'all haven't done it yet, post something in the chat because I'm looking at it. Post something in the chat, say, hey, Chris, I want to bring this up. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you bring it up. But the chat is still up because that was a Redemption doing now. He's chatting in the chat. If he got something he want to bring up, he's chatting in the chat. So if somebody says something that you want to bring up, go to the YouTube page, put it in the chat, say, hey, Chris, I want to bring this up, man. But EK, thank you for that, brother, and I promise you I'm gonna get back to you, man, 'cause I love what you were saying. Where
Hey,
Redemption, I
I
really don't
appreciate the
want to skip
panel.
on CJ.
I don't want to interrupt
Go ahead,
everybody,
bro.
but
Go
here's
ahead.
the thing. I'm going to call back in, but I'm sure I'm going to drop out if I go upstairs again. So I'm going to be listening. I'm going to go back to
Okay,
the live, and I'll call back in if I can get in. If not, I'll listen on the live feed, and I'll be following you, okay?
not a problem. Not a
All right,
problem.
buddy.
Not a problem.
All
Thank
right.
you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
CJ, you don't mind? Let me let Redemption say what he want to say real quick, brother.
All right. All
Then
right.
I'm gonna go back to you. Then I'm gonna go back to you. And if C Grant got something he want to say, let me let C Grant say something. I'm gonna throw it back to Paul, and I think Omega said he want to say something too. So after Paul, or Omega, how much time you got, brother? Before you gotta get off, I know you only got a
Yeah,
little
I'm,
time.
I'm
So how
good.
much
I'm
time you
good.
got?
I'm good right now. I'm good right now.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool, cool.
Hey, is this
So
Alpha
Redemption,
Omega Center? Or what?
huh?
Is that Alpha Omega
What's
Center?
that, CJ? It's the who?
Is that Alpha Omega?
I didn't know he called himself Omega. I don't know about Alpha
No,
Omega, but he
different
just say his
different
name
guy.
Omega.
Oh, okay. Because you kind of sounded like somebody I knew.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, Redemption, say what you gotta say, brother, and let CJ go, then Chris Grant, then Paul, then we go back to Omega.
So I'm a little hung up on one of the details of what the previous speaker was just saying. I don't really see that
All right,
coon
Omega.
and cracker or the N word could possibly be comparable. Um, when you look at the N word and the coon word, you're talking about. I mean, they're all derogatory phrases, but they're different.
Right, right.
Coon and the N word are words that are derogatory and lowered in. They've been lowered in value, right? Whereas the term cracker comes from an elevated position of oppression. So I see them as being drastically different. I don't think white people are as bothered by the term cracker. I mean, we find it disrespectful, obviously, but I don't think we find it as offensive as the word coon or as the N-word. I just don't think we do, and I know I certainly don't.
Yeah, I don't think y'all do either.
I think that when in the few times where a black person has called me a cracker, I'm a little puzzled by it because I don't really understand why they would want to elevate me to a position of where I could, even in word, be in an elevated position of oppression. That's what the cracker is.
Redemption, hold on for a minute. Hold on for 1 minute, brother. How's y'all doing that? Y'all saying something and it's popping up on my end. I don't know if everybody can see it. How's y'all? Is there a chat or something y'all doing where it's popping up? How y'all doing it? Because Paul, I just see you said something and it popped up over your head. Omega Red, I saw the joke you just made and it popped up over your head. How's y'all doing it? How's y'all coming like that?
I don't know. I'm not seeing
CJ just did some chats. Yeah, y'all probably can see it. I can see it though.
Oh, I see it now.
How's y'all doing it?
Can you say that, Red?
How y'all doing it?
On the top left,
Huh?
it looked like a little messenger. It looked like a message box on the top left.
Oh, it must be the chat. Oh, the chat. Okay, I'm stupid. Okay. Oh, well, I ain't gotta look at the YouTube then. Here we go. All right. All right, continue, Redemption.
But so, I just don't see how the terms can be comparable necessarily. You know?
Oh,
I just don't see how they can be comparable.
Okay. CJ, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the coon. I mean, like the modern version of it anyway. I think like people just use it towards people who they think support white supremacy. Because I think like when pro-blacks want to call like other blacks a coon is because, oh, I disagree with you, or I'm gonna criticize the black community. They think because you criticize a black person that means that you don't support them. Like they can't be wrong. So they call them a coon, like they support white supremacy just because they're criticized to shut down the conversation.
Man, y'all know this. She said you turned 18 yet? I know you were 17 last we talked.
I ain't turning 18 until next year.
Man, this man is 17 years old, man, and speaks maturity than most of the folk in the world today. That's why I'm glad this brother made it back on the panel, man. My man, C. Grant. I know you got some knowledge, brother. Hit me with it, man.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, this whole term coon, on the real, I first heard it back in middle school when I was watching the Boondocks, and then that racist episode of Uncle Ruckus when the racist country singer came over, and I was like, "What the fuck's a coon?" So I looked it up, and it said the actual definition of Urban Dictionary said a person who entertains.
Hold on, brother. Are y'all seeing the chat over here, man? This is funny, man. This is cool too, man. Y'all see they can do this, man, and we get along. Nobody's getting upset. I don't know if you can type in the chat, Chris. I don't know if you can type in the chat. But I'm not talking on YouTube. It's a chat over here that I'm looking at. They are able to chat with each other. And Omega and Chris going at it, man. This is funny, bro. This is funny. But it's glad that we got people that we can get along like that, man, that you can joke with them like that. Nobody get offended, man. It's all fun. It's all fun and game. My bad, Chris Green. Go ahead, brother.
So yeah, like that episode of Boondocks and the racist country singer who's a white supremacist visit Uncle Ruckus because he was trying to get with his career. That's when I first heard the term coon. So I looked it up Urban Dictionary, and I'm like, this definition applies to most people in the hood killing themselves and dealing drugs, or who are rappers or actors nowadays portraying like stereotypes. And when I bring it up to people in Philly, they would just say like, oh, you know, you just trying to kiss the white man's ass. Or why you acting like that? You think you good? You light bright? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just saying stuff I see that makes sense. I mean, we're killing each other, and you're messing with me, proving a point more. But it was like that in the 7th grade, and to this day, it still goes over the heads of many. So it's like, it's just to attack someone's character and you can't give a logical argument or something hits too close to home. That's just the way I see it.
Okay. Well, Chris Grant, I noticed one thing you said, brother. You said some, I guess somebody made reference to your skin tone. Tell me this, brother, and because I'm a light-skinned brother as well. Why there's a scene where somebody who probably darker than our color want to use that as an attack too. What does our skin color got to do with anything? Is it a self-conscious thing, or they hate that they are dark skinned, or what the fuck? Tell me that, because I know you brought that up, bro.
It ties into all of it. I mean, most of my friends are dark skinned. They still kind of make light skin jokes sometimes, but it's like, I don't know, real happy we were younger just because of the way it would happen. They would stereotype I get more chicks, things like that. But that wasn't always the case. But I mean, I think it's just to really say, oh, you probably got a white daddy or a white great granddaddy. They trying to really shame you into saying you're not actually one of us when they might have some
Right.
white ancestry themselves. Maybe some shit like that. To be honest, I had so many different people in my family, different shades. I didn't really care. But when I started going around Philly, because my family's from Jamaica, we're all different shades. But in Philly, I noticed the colorism was far stronger. That's just something I noticed, for real.
So even if you do have a white dad, why the fuck does that matter? If you got a white dad, well, why does that matter?
Well, I got a white great great grandma, but not. But I don't know. They just care for some reason.
Right. Okay. Thank you,
Different.
brother. All right,
You're
my
different
brother.
and therefore bad.
Say it again, Rediff.
You're different and therefore bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's pass it on to my brother from another mother, Paul. Paul, welcome back, brother. You had trouble getting in on last shows, but now you're here, brother. Go ahead, lay it on us, man.
Hey. Well, my thoughts on this, guys, is simple. Coon. I've heard this word coon before, and I've been labeled coon many times on my YouTube channel. You can go on my YouTube channel and look at the comment section. I've got labeled coons by these pro-blacks. Dudes, guys, all these pro-blacks do is target blacks. I've said this many times. These pro-blacks are hypocrites. These pro-blacks, all they do is use this coon word as a shaming tactic to try and shut down an argument that they cannot win. If I'm bringing up the problems in the black race and the issues in the black race, I will be labeled a coon instantly. And the definition of the word coon is this. Well, there are many definitions of the word coon. One definition is this: one who sells his race to please white folks. Tom is labeled coon. But he recently made a video asking a question if he is a coon, scamming. One troll said his video is not gonna come out and he's scamming the people. And at the same time, they say majority of his audience is white folks. But wait a minute. So shouldn't they be happy that he's scamming white people? Question marks right there. I'm not so sure how does that work out. But anyways, this word coon, one definition is one who sells out his race to please white folks. The other definition is guys, anyone can be called a coon. You say something that a black fool that a black person don't like, you're instantly labeled a coon. Tariq Nasheed made a video months ago called Coon Train. I've said this before. I don't know if many of you saw the video named Coon Train featuring black folks. Tommy as one of them, and them singing along, talking about the coon train is coming. So this is what pro-blacks do. This is what these pro-blacks do. They run around, call people coons, and they will not ever address the issues in the black community or in the black race. They will never do that. Why? Because there's a thing called a no snitching rule. If you ask, okay, let me explain what snitching means. Snitching means this. Snitching is this: you telling the white cops, but sorry, you what you call it now, ranting. So you telling white cops about the issues in the black race or something like that. You selling out your own race to white cops. That's basically what snitching means. So these pro-blacks, they go by snitching rule. So nobody can really say anything about the issues in the black community. Nobody can do that. These coons, a coon does is give his opinion online. That's all a coon does. All a coon does is give his opinion online. That's it. Make YouTube videos giving his opinion. These pro-blacks, they won't target the drug dealers, they target the murderers, they won't target the molesters, they won't target the rapists, they won't target these women who are killing their own children. They won't target none of those
Preach,
people
brother,
because
preach.
a coon is
Preach,
an
brother.
easy target. A coon is an easy target for these pro-blacks. A coon is an easy target. These pro-blacks will spend their whole time online calling people coons all day. But a drug dealer, a gunman, oh, you know what? These pro-blacks, they say white people or white supremacy is holding black folks down. You will never see these white people. Sorry, you never see these pro-blacks go after any white folks. You will never see these pro-blacks go after white people, calling them names, the videos. You will never see these pro-blacks go after white people. Never. That's a fact. That's a
Paul, let me
fact.
add
You will
on to
never
what
see them. But
let me add on to what you're saying, brother. CJ just wrote in the chat,
go ahead.
and he's right. He said, "Yeah, too many blacks act as if our issues strictly in us versus them thing, so that you can't criticize them without advocating for the other side." He is exactly right. And redemption came behind him. Meanwhile, the vast majority of white folks are damn near willing to try anything to help resolve the issues that are taking place. And he absolutely right, brother. So that what you just preach, brother. You just
Mhm.
preach, man. Thank you so much. Let me pass on to
Yo,
Omega, and
one
whoever
other
that
thing
is,
too.
reach your microphone.
Yep.
Yeah,
You still
go ahead,
talking?
Omega.
Oh,
You got the floor again.
wait, Chris? Yeah. Go ahead.
All
Huh?
right.
Go ahead, Sean.
Go on.
I was going to say something else, but go ahead. I think I've already made my point
Oh,
already.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You want to finish? You want to finish, Paul?
Keep going, mate.
Yeah,
Keep going.
yeah. I want to say one more thing. These pro-blacks, if you notice, these pro-blacks go after blacks all day and use the most derogatory words to describe a black person. They use black as hell, charcoal, midnight, all these derogatory words to describe a black person. How many guys
And see,
realize
that's what I
that?
like about Jay. That's what I like about Jay. Jay said, "Yeah, I'm pro-black, but I'm a pro-black with logic sense. I'm not a pro-black that's going to attack you just because I don't agree with you." And so far, this
Yep,
brother has
yep.
shown it. I didn't even know he was pro-black. And anything, see, that's what I like
Hmm.
about Jay. One of the shows I was finna get ready to do when I first did the show about our parents monitoring their children. You know what he did? He came in, communicated. He was like, "Man, no, we need to talk about something broader than that." But he said that because he didn't understand what I was talking about. But once I explained to him what I was talking about, he said, "Okay, cool. I see where you're coming from." See, that's communication I like about this group. If I want to bring up a topic and it doesn't sound like it's gonna hit on shit, y'all would let me know it ain't hitting on shit. That's what I let y'all know. Y'all bring up topics like hitting on shit. So you know what I'm saying? Much respect to you, Jay. We'll get you in a minute though, brother. But let's pass it back to Omega, man.
Hmm.
Right.
Yep. Go ahead.
Just looking at the psychology and the theology of this, okay, because this is something I enjoy. There are two subsections here. You've got a law, then you've got a moral law, or you've got a context, and then you've got a motivation. All right. So we're dealing with two different things here, and basically you have a general understanding of a word or a dialogue. Okay. And I think the other speaker touched on motivation, but you have words, you have a dialogue, and then you have a moral law, or you have a motivation which underpins that. And I mean, it's one of the reasons I just sat here in side chat and called redemption a white knuckle dragging eight, because it doesn't. It's that, believe it or not, for me and him, that's a term of affection. That's
Yeah.
a term of friendship and brotherhood that we have, where we just sit there for hours insulting each other. I mean, I literally wake up in the morning and the first thing I see on my Hangouts is a big list of insults sent to me from Redemption, and it's a term of endearment. So I know that sounds strange, but what we've got to understand is there's two different things going on here. We've got the actual word itself, the dialogue, the understanding of that word or dialogue from a clear definition point of view, and then you've got the motivation which underpins it. And we're looking at I mean, if you look at the word coon or nigger, Personally, as a white man, I find those words, I really do find them, if they are being spoken in true reference to an African man or an Aboriginal Australian or whatever, I find that deeply offensive because I understand the motivation. The motivation is harm. The person is trying to harm that individual. And I think we can apply this with the word coon. I think we can apply this with the word cracker. I mean, you guys could call me a cracker all day. I really couldn't. I don't care. You can call me cracker. I don't care. But but if somebody's like coming at me and calls me a cracker, the motivation's different. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And then we've got another problem. This is the major problem. When people use these words in a public forum, okay, people will apply their own motivational, their own motivational stance to the word being used. So if I'm talking to Redemption on side chat and I call him whatever, somebody else who has something against me with the wrong motivation is going to take that word, is going to misconstrue it and use it to try and damage my reputation. And I think that's what makes these words so dangerous is, as soon as they're aired or used in an open forum, you're basically opening up the floodgates for people to be able to use it and misconstrue it and twist the truth however they want, because this is the unfortunate truth of the modern day. No one's interested in truth anymore. We're living in a pluralistic society where the truth is what you make it, or that people create whatever truth is most beneficial for them. And that's what we're seeing with the use of these words. You will see one guy saying it's a deeply derogatory remark and then using the same word against his own race because it serves him at the time. But then if a white man uses it, he'll turn around and say, oh, you're a freaking racist and all the rest of it. So everything comes down to the motivation or the moral implication of what you're trying to do with all these words, with all the dialogue. That's basically, and I do appreciate, like the fact that there's some history over there in the US, and respectfully, I wouldn't use those words. I just think I think they are damaging. I think the African American community using words like this, in music and using words like this, for them could be a term of endearment or brotherhood in some aspects, but they have to understand the implication that it's going to generalize the word for the wider society, and people are going to get offended. You know what I mean? So I think, I think it comes down to the moral, implication. I think it comes down to the motivation of these words that are being used. That's what I've got to say on the subject anyway.
Okay. Well, Omega, let me ask you this, brother. I don't know if you been watching like the news. They've been going crazy down here in the U.S. With a couple of killings. Cops killed a couple of black guys, and now you got Black Lives Matter protesting out the wazoo. This is the most I've ever seen Black Lives Matter come out, but now it's coming in retaliation, and now cops are getting shot and killed and sniped out. So we talked about this earlier in the Hangouts, and I wish David Kelly was here because I love what he was saying about it. In your opinion, man, and this might be just a rhetorical question, is that really helping anything, or is they going to make things worse? If you've been watching what's going on down here.
Well, I think obviously the actions of Black Lives Matter are going to make things worse. You have to look at this from a logical perspective. The ideology that's being espoused by Black Lives Matter is dangerous and damaging, not just for our community as a whole, but especially for the African community. It's going to increase racial hatred. I mean, I was dealing with a guy who was basically using these broad terms of all white people because of something some white cop did. I definitely think the socioeconomic environments in the US actually play into this a lot. I think it would be difficult to be a cop working in a lot of the areas they do in the US. But like I said, I'm no expert on what goes on there.
You are correct, Omega. There is a quantifiable. It's not as much as you might think, but there is a quantifiable effect based upon socioeconomic groups. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
So, but a lot. I mean, look at it statistically. There's a lot more white people shot by white cops in America than black men shot by white cops. It's just a fact of life. Every time a black man is shot by a cop, it is not racially motivated. It's just a fact of life. Cops will shoot people, and they will shoot them every day. That's because they are criminals in the large majority of cases, or they're doing something which actually causes the police officer to shoot them. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe that there are probably a very, very small number of real racist cops in America, but I would say if you look at it statistically, I think the number is so low. It's the norm that you would find in any ethnic population. If you look at any ethnic population, whether it's black, white, Chinese, Japanese, you're going to have a very, very small, extremely radical minority existing within that population. And if you look at the size of the American police force, there's going to be a couple of nut jobs in there. But when I saw the images of families, wives and children mourning in the hospital, you know, these are just regular people. These are people who have nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. These are people who are not racist. These are guys just going about their day, trying to do their job, and trying to make society a better place with what they're given. And let's be honest, the police force in America are not given much. They're not. The resources are quite inadequate. The leadership is quite poor. And from a political and governmental point of view, the government policies and stuff over there are freaking just constant failure. They're a constant failure. So it's a bad ideology, man. It's just going to do more damage.
Mega Man, thank you so much, man. I'm so glad you were able to have time to join the show, brother. Stick around as long as you can, man. Thank you so much for putting your input in, man. Just want to say that, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Can I pop in for just a second?
What do you want, Cracker?
Actually, just to strengthen quickly what Omega said, the police nationwide have something like 150,000 interactions per day with citizens of this country, and of that per year, I don't know what that number is per year, but it's ridiculously high. And in that, very, very few of those interactions result in anyone being shot. I mean, think about that. 150,000 conversations every day nationwide. And we might hear about what? There's been, 600 that have been shot and killed this year?
Right.
It's actually pretty decent numbers. Their record is actually okay, but they do need more training. They do need more resources, not military resources, but they do need more basic resources like body cams, for example. We'll put a lot of this shit to rest once and for all.
Exactly.
I just had one more thing to say, Chris.
Go ahead, brother.
Any ideology, right, within any ethnic group or organisation that allows violence and racism or is inherently racist or violent within its ideology is the enemy here. And you can see it right across. You can see it in Black Lives Matter. You can see it in Islam. You can see it in the American police force. In fact, you can see it in the military. You can see it in every institution in the world. Anywhere where there's unwarranted violence, obviously you have to use violence in the military, But anywhere where there's unwarranted violence and racism in any group, it's unacceptable. And I think that is the precedent that we need to apply to society as a whole. I mean, we have to have a higher ideal. And I made a video recently, and I'm talking about the world becoming a global community, because we are. Where all these cultures and ethnicities and peoples are all getting thrown together through the World Wide Web, and we're becoming an island. So unless we shoot for a higher ideal in society, we're going to have some major issues. Now, movements like Black Lives Matter, you know, elements of Islam, all these groups, any group that has a sector or a culture of inherent violence and racism needs to be reformed. There needs to be change within those groups, or those people need to be rooted out. And this is a problem with the left. In the left, they don't call out their extremists. In the left, nothing is too extreme. Like, you can look at the pro-Palestinian advocates who literally will be dancing on the graves of dead Jews, right? But in the right, I'm on the right. I'm a right-sided conservative. If I see somebody who is truly racist and bigoted, I call them out. And I say, we don't want you as a leader. We don't want you in any position of power. And I think the police force have to be able to look inward at themselves, and they have to say, listen, we need a zero tolerance for people who are truly racist and who use unwarranted violence, and they need to regulate that, okay? Now, they need to do that, but so does Black Lives Matter. So does everybody. And this is what I mean. This is how you can examine an ideology or an idea, and you can work out if it's bad or not. People need to look at this from a logical perspective. They need to ask real, honest questions. And, you know, no matter how passionate you are about your movement or about your ideas or about your race, the second you step into the echelons of being a true racist or you're advocating violence, you have stepped over the line. It is no longer a good ideology. Now, there can be balance in everything. Like, there can be balance in Black Lives Matter. There can be a real dialogue. There can be a meaningful dialogue. But the problem is they've let the extremists take over. And the police force really needs to rein this in. They need to make sure that they don't have these sorts of elements operating within the police force. But so does everybody. It doesn't just apply to them. Black Lives Matter are pointing the guns at the police force, and the next minute they're out shooting cops. So what they've really done is shown the world that they're no better than the police force. I mean, and what they've done is they've created an environment where racial hatred is going to be increased. So I think all groups, all people need to do some real soul searching, and they really need to ask themselves, are we prepared to address the radicals within our ranks? Are we going to do it? Are we going to be honest? You know, you as a black man, I respect the fact that you're calling out the radicals and saying these guys are freaking idiots, and they do not represent African Americans in this country. They represent their own interests, their own insane ideology, and this is not the ideology of the African American. And the police force need to do the same.
I agree.
Hey, woo! Hey, I'm gonna pass it on to Jay and let Jay close it out, because you know he's the reason why I'm doing this show, so it's kind of like dedicated to him. Man, but let me say this before I let Jay in. Y'all, but damn, he just dropped out right there, son. Dang. Hopefully he'll come back on. Damn, I'm jumping in the opposite, brother. He jumped off, man. Hey, Celine in the chat, how you doing, dear? Would you like to get on the panel?
Celine never gets
is
on the
speaking
panel.
to y'all. Yeah, Celine speaking to y'all in the chat. Speaking to y'all in the chat. She's speaking to everybody. Hey, Celine, thank you so much for joining, dear. Would you like to get on the panel? But anyway, wife, before she answers that, this is why I wanted him on. I'm so glad this man was able to join. Because y'all hear how he talked, his views on a different perspective from somebody who's not even on U.S. soil. But he has seen enough stuff that goes on, that it can kind of connect to things that's going on over there. I didn't know that they even had a Black Lives Movement in the street, to be honest. But this man is able to talk with the little knowledge that he has and to speak all of that. I'm amazed he had all that to say for somebody who haven't been on U.S. soil. He's not in the U.S. So this is why I want this brother on. And Omega, I just want to say this again, brother. I'm glad you're giving me your time. Anytime you gotta go, brother, I mean, hey, just let me know, man. But thank you for your time, brother. I can't stress that enough. Can't stress that. Matter of fact, thank y'all for all your time, man. I love y'all bros, man. Love y'all bros. C Grant, like,
Hey, bro.
he finna say something. And if y'all see Jay, tell him bring his ass back on, because I'm trying to let him close out the coon thing so I can switch on to another subject. Jay, you listen to bring your ass back on, brother. Bring your ass back on. This is about you, brother. Bring your ass back on here.
With that
Go ahead, C
1998
Grant.
Maxwell Afro.
Well, yeah, I saw it on Instagram. They also had a Black Lives Matter march in the UK. I followed some page on Instagram called Chaka Bar, some pro-black dude from the UK, and they actually had a whole Black Lives Matter rally there too, based on the stuff that happened with Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. So that's crazy how it's extending towards the world. Like, it's just really becoming a big epidemic now.
Okay.
I got a question. I have done no research on the 3 women that started it. Are they involved in these rallies?
Probably not.
I'm gonna take y'all word for it. Has anybody heard of those 3 women that started this? Like, are they just saying, you know what, we got to start it, so let's go home and eat our bonbons and drink coffee? Is that
Black
what's going
Lives Matter
on?
was founded by like some black gay dude, that one dude, that false black dude, Sean King, and then the 3 chicks, yeah. So
Yeah,
gays and feminists started that movement for black men.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
think they
bull.
got Sean King. I think Sean is actually white, if you ask me.
Yeah, what a surprise. Socialist morons, mate.
I think that guy really is white. Like,
let me
like
bring this to your attention. Let me bring this to your attention, brother, because I think this is your field. Hold on. Let me read what Chris Redemption said. I'm so glad this chat thing. I forgot about this chat thing on where I can see it. I think y'all can see it too. Y'all should be able to chat in this room too. But Huggy P is chatting over there in YouTube. That's cool. Matter of fact, Redemption is chatting in both of them, so that's pretty damn cool too. But anyway, Redemption said estimated. I don't know. That's $1.240 billion. 911 calls are made
240
nationwide
million.
each year. Okay, 240 million 911 calls are made nationwide each year. So out of 240 million 911 calls, less than 1,000 are killed. All right, Huggy, this is why I want you to come in because I think this is your field. Omega said before that, it's interesting to see the Islamic movement getting entwined with the Black Lives movement. And I know sometimes you speak to me about Islamic stuff. So what you say about that?
If Islam is getting involved with the Black Lives Matter movement, it depends on what version of Islam. It's got to be like the NOI. It's like those quote-unquote extremists, Arabs overseas. You might have some of them doing it, but I doubt if it's a majority of them. When they talk about Muslim, they probably talk about either the Fruit of Islam or the Nation of Islam, or 5%ers for that matter. Because you got a bunch of different sects of Islam. So that's the thing about being a Muslim. You get grouped into like all these different types, like Sunnis and Shias and all these different people. Omega, you was about to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can get Jay, man. Where's Jay is?
Hold on, let me hear what Omega got to say.
Just on.
No, I'm just trying to find Jay. Go ahead.
Islam.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to find Jay.
Just on Islam, you have to understand something about Islam, and that is it's all inspired from the same theological text, okay? And there is only one way to interpret the Quran, and that's through what they call the Hadith. The Hadith is the historical account of the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, the Prophet Muhammad is the most perfect example of how to live out Islam. Okay. Now, what you're doing is you're saying, and I think I agree with you to a point because we see a Sunni Shiite sort of demographic. But what you need to understand is the moderate Muslim is the person that is departing from the ideology. The radical Muslim is the person who is following the ideology. This is the difference. You have to understand that if you get a Christian who goes to a church and gets a powerful Sunday sermon, he is convicted and he stops, committing adultery. If you get a Muslim who goes to a mosque and gets a powerful Sunday sermon, he's convicted to do exactly what the text says, and he will commit jihad. So you have to I think that we need to understand that the ideology of Islam is extremely violent, it's extremely racist, and it's extremely dangerous. And Muslims that are not committing acts of jihad are not a part of what they call the mujahideen. And the mujahideen are people who are venerated within Islam, the martyrs of Islam, the ones who are actively getting involved in their faith and living out the Quran as it's written and as it's prescribed through the Hadith by the Prophet Muhammad. So this is why we see issues across the world. Everywhere where Islam is, you will find radical Islam. And if you talk to Muslims who are moderates, there's a lot of stuff they will not tell you. And that's because of a law that's written into the Quran, which is known as taqiyya. Now, taqiyya forbids a Muslim to speak anything which will not further the cause of Islam. So in taqiyya, a Muslim is forbidden. What's that?
Yeah, so they can deny being a Muslim also.
Yeah, so they can pretend that they're not a Muslim. That's a part of taqiyya, which is a part of committing jihad. So you can dwell amongst the infidels, I think the text says, and that way you can sort of become like a cell within a group with the intention of committing jihad. So it's very important to understand with Islam, and this is why I'm quite outspoken about Islam, is because it is a bad ideology. It's a dangerous ideology. It's a violent and oppressive ideology, not only to whites, not just to Chinese, but anyone who is a non-Muslim. And that includes African Americans. That's why you can go to Yemen. You realize in Yemen, right, in an Arab country, they cut the balls off African Americans and use them as slaves in Yemen. And they do that today, and they're called eunuchs. If you go to Saudi Arabia, they still have African American slaves right throughout the Arab world. That's because they do it to white people as well. They've got white Christian female sex slaves, and according to their ideology, it's fine. And I mean, so what you have to understand is, like, I mean, in the Quran, for example, if you speak about the Prophet Muhammad in a derogatory term, the punishment is death. Okay, that's why we saw Charlie Hebdo in France. That's why we saw a whole bunch of people gunned down who did that satirical magazine because they committed blasphemy. And so, according to Sharia law, which is inseparable from Islam, they were put to death. They were murdered. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that to light. If you've got a theological question about Islam, I'd be happy to answer it. But one of the things I find interesting is the way the socialist left. You mentioned feminism and the LGBTI movement, which have married up with Black Lives Matter. This is all part of a greater movement. It's called the socialist movement. And if you actually go back in history a bit to the 1940s, Hitler, in one of his major speeches, said that he is a progressive socialist, and a progressive socialism it seeks to bring down the established order of the country and basically rewrite it and replace it with their own, and that's exactly what these people are doing. And when they rewrite it, they want a totalitarian system. So that's why you see, like, for example, with the LGBTI in America, they don't only want to be recognised, but then they want to put into law a totalitarian law which forbids anyone from making any remark against the LGBTI. They want to police speech. You see this in the feminist movement. They want to police speech. No one can say this or do this, and if they do, there's going to be serious repercussions. We see this in the Black Lives Matter movement, and we see it marrying up with Islam, which is another extreme totalitarian ideology. You know, it's basically it's a marrying of two very, very bad ideologies. I'll stop there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm actually
real
waiting on.
familiar. You still waiting on Jay?
Yeah, he said he said he's switching to his laptop because his phone died. I want to let him close out this topic since it was him who brought it to the attention. And once we close that out, I want Omega to speak some more about his side of town because y'all know the gun laws is where he get totally different. There are terms over here where we could use like guns as a self-defense. It's totally different where he get. And I want him to speak on it. And he says he would like to say something about feminism. So I will let him speak on that and let everybody speak on that trend. But for now, if anybody else still got something they want to say on this coon topic, go ahead. CJ, you got something else you want to say, brother? CJ.
CJ fool. I think he don't know his mic is muted. I don't think he knows.
Well, he should be unmuted himself though.
CJ, unmute your mic if you're there.
Jay, unmute your mic, brother.
While we waiting on him, let me ask Omega. I'm a former Muslim myself, right? And everything, at least 90%, I'm familiar with everything you said. Like, because you have like the Muslims in America, they like to hide the understandings of the Hadith, but they can't pray without the Hadith because there's no instructions on how to pray.
Oh, my bad. Jay said he need the link. Hold on.
Oh, you need the link. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. So, I'm thinking out loud. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
One of the reasons I became Muslim was a guy named Khalid Yassin. He's from he lives in Australia. Does he still live there, or do you know who that guy is?
I'm not sure. No, I don't know.
Or Yusuf Estes, I think he lives in.
Why did you leave Islam? Can you tell me why you left Islam?
Man, it's like many reasons. I can get into like the existence of the prophet. Like mine is deeper than just I don't like Islam. Like I like some of the principles of Islam, like lowering your gaze and being clean and proper understanding of respect. But you go deep into those hadiths, like they're scary. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, very scary. Yeah. Like Khalid ibn Walid is like one of the most supreme warriors of those companions, and he was like a real live like murderer. Like it's beyond just a warrior. He was a murderer. Like when you look into those hadiths and everything that's being narrated, I couldn't fly with that. You know what I'm saying? I love music too. I really couldn't flow with that. I really couldn't. I love having sex.
Yeah, and this is why a lot of people are moving.
You know what I'm saying? I could never find no Muslim wife. It would be like a woman. I met two women that were Muslim, and they have these things called school of thought. We used to have these little conflicts of school of thought, and that's where we used to like collide. Like one girl was like, "Oh, I'm with this school of thought, and because of that, we couldn't be married." I'm like, "What?" And that's when I was my first time hearing about this. So you got these school of thoughts that try to break down what we take from the Hadith, what we take from the Quran, and all that. So I just left it alone, man. It ain't for me.
Yeah, good choice. And I mean, obviously, and this is exactly what I. There's no private Quran.
Okay, we got
the story.
Okay, we got Jay back on. Jay, I'm gonna let you close this topic out, brother. This is dedicated to you, boy. You know that we talked earlier, man, and you gave me an idea to bring this shit up. So since it's about you, close this out, man. We're gonna talk on another subject.
Shit, I really said what I had to say, really.
All you heard, bro, for all what you heard from everybody.
Come on, Maxwell.
Do you?
You know, you put an album out every 10 years, but we want to hear you talk.
Man, I mean, really, I mean, shit, I kind of said everything I had to say in terms of the, the word coon and all that stuff. I just want to say, from, I guess, Redemption, or somebody else said, I don't know if it was Redemption that said it, but with the BLM creating more racial division, I mean, this country's been racially divided for hundreds of years. So, I mean, how much more division can you not create? You know what I mean? And I agree with him when he said it's more of a social, economic, I guess, divide or whatever. But yeah, man, that's really all I got to say, man. I kind of said everything I wanted to say in the beginning of the word coon and breaking it down and all that kind of stuff.
You don't think it's more divided now than it was 2.5 weeks ago? Because people are out shooting cops and stuff, and they weren't doing that a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but I mean, like I said, how much more racially divided can it get when this country has been racially divided?
Well, I suppose it could get to a point where white folks and black folks are at physical war with one another.
I don't think that will ever happen. I mean, blacks can't be that stupid. We're outnumbered by like 160 million.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous for I had somebody came by to comment on my videos who didn't like me, claiming to be a black person, and said, fuck Whitey, it's time for war. That was basically the exact premise of what they said. And I said, no, I don't even have a. Well, I would really hate for that to happen because, I mean, let's talk just realistically about the numbers there for a second. Black folks in America are about 13% of the population, where white folks are probably about 68%, almost 68% of the population. So you guys are, I did the numbers, but you guys would be outnumbered by a ridiculous, hundreds to one. And then on top of that, nationwide, on average, white folks own firearms at about twice the rate of white folks. So could you see how that would go really poorly? I mean, I don't want that to happen.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, shit, even now, Latinos outnumber blacks in this country.
In fact, even I was doing the numbers. Even if for some odd reason, if black folks and Latino folks started getting along, which I kind of know, at least out here they don't. But if they started getting along and they banded together, there still wouldn't be enough people for there to be an even match. It still wouldn't be a 1-to-1 ratio, not even close.
Well, I don't think blacks would be that stupid to try to create a race war. I mean, technically a race war on not the physical level, but like the mental, psychological, and you can even go spiritual. It's already been going on for thousands of years.
That never stopped. That's been going on. You're right. I do agree.
Yeah, but I agree with you. A race war still been out. Civil war, I can see that.
And that may happen. I mean, that's something that many of us, and I do, I believe that it's a possible scenario that we could be looking at. And it's unfortunate because the real enemy would be the enemy that we would all need to band together against.
Yeah.
And I think that that's lost on a lot of people right now. I don't think that they realize that the people that are dividing us are the people who don't want us to work together for that exact purpose. And together, we could beat them. But apart, there's not a chance.
But I want to say about the Black Lives Matter movement, it's like people are condemning them as a terrorist group. Now, it's like almost like the people, these mass shootings, are you blaming the people who you're doing it, or you're blaming the gun? I do because
I do see Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. Anytime where a large group of people are out and they feel comfortable enough to publicly call for violence against another group of people, they've crossed the line into a terror group. That goes for Aryan Nation, KKK, Black Lives Matter, New School, Black Panthers. All of these groups are extremist terrorist groups, and the vast majority of them are out calling for violence against the other group, and it's bad news.
Okay, so let me ask you this: the people that are out there peacefully protesting, they're speaking their mind, not calling for violence as a whole, because it's only a few people that are calling for violence. Do you condemn the whole group, or do you condemn the few bad apples?
Yeah, but they're not out there. See, this is something I was talking to my girl about today. I was in my head. There's a difference between protesting and antagonizing. Okay. Now, when you have a peaceful protest, you call in, you get your permission or whatever to have your protest, and you do so from the sidewalks, and you garner support from the civilian population based off of facts. Black Lives Matters have been standing in the street in some vain attempt to block economy and commerce, when really what they're doing is they're preventing people. There's a story of a family who was trying to take their infant to the hospital and couldn't get through because Black Lives Matter were blocking the street. There have been people that have been run over. There have been people that have thrown themselves in front of cars intentionally. There have been people calling for violence. There have been people that have been beat up in McDonald's parking lots and then robbed for refusing to answer a question that's being screamed in their face by 13 people while they're by themselves. Now, could you imagine if you were leaving McDonald's and 13 white people came up to you and started screaming in your face, demanding to know whether or not you thought that white lives matter? Would you be shitting your pants a little bit? I know I would be.
Yeah, and trying to shoot them at the same damn time. You're right.
Trying to get the fuck away is what I'd be trying to do with all my fingers and toes attached,
Hey, Paul said he got something he want to say, so let's give Paul the floor. Where's Huggy P? Where's Huggy P and CJ?
Guys, I'm loving this conversation, guys, and you guys are kicking some real facts and knowledge, and there's nice redemption that you gave all these stats, and you're sharing all this stuff with us. This is excellent. My thoughts on this: Black Lives Matter. Right now, I'm looking at Black Lives Matter as a new KKK group. Right now, this is what it seems to be because of that shooting way back, those cops killing the two black people during that week. It's because of that why it set off it got black people angry, and they protest always. But during the protest, black people snipers decided to shoot any white cops just to get revenge. So right now, Black Lives Matter need a new approach here. One thing I always say is this: you can't expect white people to consider Black Lives Matter until black people see the importance of Black lives. Right now, in today's world, there are more black on black violence than white cops killing black. That's a fact. And redemption, I think you pointed that out in the chat room. There are more black on black violence. Black Lives Matter. You don't see them moving in. You don't see them saying anything about these killings, about black on black violence. When was the last time you see black on Black Lives Matter march the streets for to protest against these gunmen, these child molesters, these rapists, these whoever it may be, these drug dealers? You don't see Black Lives Matter marching on the streets to speak out against these things. You don't see it. You only see them moving when the time is a white couple kills a black folks. Black Lives Matter must only, if black people really consider Black Lives Matter, they need to consider what is going on in the black race, because they can't talk about white people and their problems within our own race. Look at Jesse Williams. Jesse Williams that speak weeks ago, talking about white cops killing black folks and oppressing black folks, and he literally uplifted the black women. Why would he do that? last I checked, the black women are the ones who are raising up these men to be drug dealers, etc. These gunmen and all that stuff. But it's still him as a mixed guy, not a black, not a black person, no, a mixed guy. Give credit to those women. And last I checked, Jesse Williams is mixed, so he was raised up by a white mama. So white people are doing better. White people are doing way more for black, way more for him than black folks. I'm pretty sure that's a fact. But
I
yet still we
agree. I
talk about
agree
white
with you
people
completely, Paul.
and we uplift these blacks that are doing nothing. These blacks are the ones who are causing these problems in the black race. We need to do something about these black on black violence. We need to do something about that. Until that is solved, it ain't no need for no Black Lives Matter to move in. It ain't no need for no Black Lives Matter to talk about the how what cops are doing black folks wrong. It ain't no need for none of us to talk about any of that stuff.
Well, you know what's interesting, Paul, just to jump in and expand on what you were saying earlier, when you were talking about the two people shot, I think it was actually three in that 1 week. But out of the three that were shot, one of them, and this is Chris Thorns and Omega and I were in a chat the other day, and we were talking about this, and we were saying, I think that everybody can agree that every life, when you're born, every life in America starts out with the same value. Now, the choices that you make in your lifetime either add to or detract from that value. So we have, of those three people that were shot, one of them was a convicted felon and a convicted child molester who was in possession of a firearm that was illegally concealed in his pocket when he was shot by police. The other one was not following orders or even what in his state is the normal concealed carry procedures for when you're pulled over by an officer. Now, in exchange for those two lives lost, they went out and killed five potentially upstanding, law-abiding, productive additions to society who happen to be police officers. And what kills me is that people are supporting the loss of life of these five police officers, knowing nothing about them, but are supporting these two people who were shot who were doing the wrong thing. And at least in one of those cases has a lifetime history of doing the wrong thing.
One thing I learned, Chris.
Wait. Redemption, I'm glad you're on this subject because that's what I was going to bring up next. That's why I wanted Jay to close out the coon section of it. And I think we all in agreement with a lot of each other about this stupid ass term that just came out of nowhere. Because just like Paul said, I may get called a coon when I get through with this. When people see this video, I'm gonna get called a coon, more likely. But my response will always be, if I'm a coon, check my background. No murders, no felonies, no drug charges. I ain't killed no kid. I ain't killed nobody. I ain't shot nobody. I'm not even carrying an illegal firearm, etc., etc. So if I'm a coon, then that must be a good word saying it to me. So who is more dangerous to society? Somebody who got a clean fucking record like me? Hey, I ain't even been suspended from high school. So that says a lot about me. So who's more dangerous to society? Me? You calling a coon that ain't did shit, that stays out of trouble, that stays out of himself? Or one of these thugs out here who got a record longer than they arm and they dick? You tell me who more dangerous to a society.
Exactly, Chris. Nice.
By that standard, I'm more dangerous than you are.
Wait.
Hey, Chris.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Young. Go ahead.
I wanted to, since you guys like using stats, I wanted to hear what's Redemption's thought on this. This is according to 2015. According to the most recent census data, there are nearly 160 million more white people in America than there are blacks. White people make up roughly 62% of the U.S. population, but only about 49% of those are killed by police officers. African Americans, however, account for 24% of those fatally shot and killed by the police, despite being just 13% of the U.S. population. As the Washington Post noted, and new
Uh, okay, published last week. That
I
means
actually
Black
posted.
Americans.
I actually posted those same stats in the chat just a little while ago. Um, but sorry, go ahead.
Okay, but that means Black Americans are 2.5 times as likely as white Americans to be shot and killed by police officers.
No, that
U.S.
depends
police
on
officers have.
that depends
Hold on, let
on
me
how
finish,
you.
brother.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
U.S. police officers have shot and killed the exact same number of unarmed white people as they've killed unarmed black people, 50 each. But because the white population is approximately 5 times larger than the black population, that means unarmed black Americans were 5 times as likely as unarmed white Americans to be shot and killed by a police officer. What's your thoughts?
All right, so this is a big issue because our population sizes are so different, and it's something I deal with an awful lot on my channel. So if you go by the straight numbers, it's actually about twice. Now, take the amount of black folks and the amount of white folks that exist completely out of the equation and just look at the total numbers. The total numbers show that about twice as many white people are shot and killed by cops as black people. That's just straight numbers, okay? But because our population differences are so difficult, depending on where you get your statistics from, you'll see the information is extrapolated differently. So I had done a video a while back because somebody had criticized some stats that I had pulled. And so I did a workup of the stats to try to make it simpler for people. And what I did was I had taken the total white population and their crimes, and I figured out how many times bigger we were by population. And then I found out that we were it was 4.33 something times larger. So at that time, so what I did was I times the current black population by 4.33 to give them a roughly similar sized population, and then I took their crime stats and I also times those by 4.33. And this was just to get a one-to-one model, as close to a one-to-one model as I could see. And what I discovered was that there was, from the white population to the black population, there was a 1,776% increase in crime between the two populations, meaning our crime model is so vastly different. Now we can go on talking about whether it's a socioeconomic issue, whether it's an education issue, whether it's a cultural issue, whether it's a racial issue or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The numbers are the numbers. But from straight numbers, there's twice as many white people shot as there are blacks. But if you extrapolate it by population numbers, it makes it appear like the black population is more likely to be shot than the white population. But the truth is that they're about on par. So when you're looking at, sorry, that's my dog. When you're looking at populations, and you see that there's more than twice as many white people as there are black, and twice as many white people are being shot as black people, that's pretty on par. And it's not a shocking number, really. I don't think, anyway.
So, we on the okay, look like everything's still going smoothly for the coon, but I think what we talking about now, Jay, like killing and guns violence. Is that what we talking about now?
No. We were just the numbers that he was
brother.
showing were unarmed whites being shot by police and unarmed blacks being shot by police. And depending on how you
That was
in
2015 though.
Yeah. I posted in the Hangouts chat room. I posted a similar one.
All right, let's get on this gun issue. Redemption, I'm glad you were able to talk and you were able to make it, brother.
Yeah, I'm good.
I think me and you talked about, or I think you talked in it as a group chat about the mistake in Minnesota, how that may have occurred about a guy getting shot. You are a weapons.
The one whose girlfriend filmed him.
Right. You are a weapons expert. Now, to my knowledge, I don't know how it is in every state, but to my knowledge, when you announce you have a carry concealed weapon, the cops usually not going to ask you to reach for it while you're sitting down in the car, right? Aren't they going to ask you to step out and they remove it for you, or is there certain states and cities?
Interestingly enough, I actually looked up what the rules were for Minnesota after that situation occurred. My father is a concealed carry permit holder in the state of California, which is extremely difficult to get. I'm probably going to be going up for mine in not too long as well. And in this state, it's very, very difficult to get. But in Minnesota, so there's different procedures, right? Generally speaking, in California, if you're pulled over by an officer and you're in possession of a loaded weapon and you're licensed to conceal carry, in California, you're obligated to notify the police officer who's pulling you over that you are in possession of a licensed loaded firearm, at which point he will do a surrender procedure. Now, go ahead over to Minnesota, where the law is slightly different. In Minnesota, you are not required by law to declare that you have a loaded firearm. You are, however, required to obey lawful orders to surrender that firearm if the police officer becomes aware of the fact that you have one. So the gentleman in Michigan who was shot wearing the white shirt, his girlfriend recorded him dying live on Facebook, was a concealed carry permit holder. When he was pulled over, he notified the police officer immediately that he was in possession of a loaded firearm. Now, he didn't have to do that, and I believe to an extent in that state, they tell you kind of it's sort of up to you what you want to do. Because in some cases, it might put the cop at ease, and in some cases, it might make the cop more nervous. Now, however, the surrender procedure is in active use in Minnesota as well as in California, and the procedure is the same across the board anywhere in the United States. So when the officer becomes aware of the fact that you have a loaded firearm on you that you are licensed to carry, the first thing he will ask you to do is to step out of your vehicle and place your hands on the back of your head. Doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're purple, pink, or green, doesn't matter. At that point,
hold on for 1 minute. The lady named EK, mute your mic, brother. Celine in my chat room says she is from Michigan, and in Michigan you haven't disclosed it. Right. Go ahead, brother.
So at that point, when you've stepped out of the vehicle and placed your hands on the back of your head, the cop who's speaking to you or his partner will then proceed to reach for your firearm, at which point he will voluntarily disarm you, and he will place that weapon out of reach until such time as your interaction is completed. Generally speaking, he wants to talk to you. He wants to confirm that you do actually have the license to carry it. He wants to make sure there's no felonies out, or warrants out for your arrest. Once he's done that, he will allow you to rearm yourself.
Who is that? Somebody mute their mic. Who is that?
I don't know. So anyway, once you've completed that interaction, you'll be allowed to rearm yourself. But to the best of my understanding, in that situation, the gentleman who was shot, instead of complying with the order to exit the vehicle, he chose to reach for his wallet while telling the officer, "I'm reaching for my wallet." It's a no-no. For all that cop knew, he could have been reaching for his gun so that he could surprise attack the cop. Any number of things could be taking place. And the cop, who desperately wants to go home to his wife and children, they're always going to err on the side of the caution. And if it's going to be their life or somebody else's life, they're always going to choose for it to be someone else's life. That's reality. Any person would make that same decision. So when I look at it, it's unfortunate because not very much of the population is educated on these things, especially when it comes to concealed carry laws, and they sort of just jump to a rush judgment about the outcome. So here you have a cop who didn't know what this guy was doing, and he chose to defend his life, assuming that he was in danger, and the resulting backlash is that people are going out and shooting cops. Meanwhile, that cop didn't necessarily do anything wrong. And if somehow that was wrong, then really we need to look at the policies we have for concealed carry permit holders and adjust those policies so that people will be more safe. But as far as I can see, the cop there didn't do anything wrong at all. Yeah.
But now, if you say you don't see he did nothing wrong, but
I know.
if he did tell him to reach, I mean, we on the outside looking in, so we don't know exactly what happened, other than what the woman was saying. But if he did tell him to reach without telling him to get out, then would that be considered something he did wrong?
Yes, but there's a he said she said going on there. The cop is claiming that he told that person to exit the vehicle so that he could disarm him. The girlfriend's saying that he asked for the cop asked for the guy's wallet and then shot him. So we have a he said she said. And until there's some sort of evidence, I mean, we need to have evidence, right? And this is why I'm such a proponent of body cams for officers. A lot of them are looking at it as if it's harmful and Big Brother is looking in on the cop, but really it can protect them. You know, in this situation, a body cam on that officer, I don't know whether he had one or not, but if he did, it would put to rest any he said, she said, because then we would know exactly what was said.
Right, right. You came in kind of late, brother. We talking about guns carrying concealed, and we talking about the incident that happened in Minnesota. I'm sure you seen the news. And when I asked Redemption about him being a gun expert, I don't know how much of an expert you are in guns. We talking about, you know, what was the proper... Oh, well, hell, he gone. Oh, shit. Omega, you still here, man. Tell them about the gun laws on your side of town, brother, because we talked the other night about that, and, man, your side of town is very different than over here in U.S. soil, brother. So tell us about how they treat y'all for as gun defense. You know, I find it interesting. Tell them about it. You know, I already heard you, but tell them about it, brother.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, we were, yeah.
I was talking to you, but you fell out, brother.
Yeah,
you can go out to Sean.
Okay.
Yeah, you go out there and make it, though.
Okay, well, just quickly, too, on a few points that were raised. I think I did notice in the stats that there is a higher proportion of African Americans on a statistical scale. If you look at across the numbers in populations that are actually shot by police officers, that's a fact. So if you look at the actual number of population and then you look at the statistics, there's actually it's slightly higher for African Americans. So I think it was at 2.5% higher. I think it was mentioned. But I think too, we have to appreciate the fact that like that in these particular low socioeconomic areas, that crime is a way of life. It's the same way in Australia. If you go to Sydney in Australia, there's a higher ethnic population in the low socioeconomic areas of the city, and there's a lot of Asians. You've got all the triad gangs. You've got the Muslim gangs. You've got the Lebanese gangs. You know, there's a huge proportion of ethnic sort of minorities in these low socioeconomic areas, and that equals more crime, that equals more deaths, that equals more police shootings. That means that police are on edge when they're in those areas. So I think if you guys look at all that in a very balanced way, you'll see that it's not a racial issue at all. It's got nothing to do with police targeting African Americans. It's systemic of the society of the low socioeconomic areas attracting certain ethnicities, and that's why you're seeing a higher proportion. Not discounting the fact that there are probably legitimately, like I said, within every group, a small proportion of wankers that are real bad eggs but those small proportion that actually target African Americans would be like 0.1% of the police force cannot account for the 2.5% increase in African American shootings. You see what I'm saying there? It's not a racially motivated. It's not a racially motivated. It's economically. It's an economic fact. It's a socio-economic byproduct of American society. As far as the Australian gun laws go, in Australia, to own a firearm, you have to have a specific reason to own a firearm, and to own a firearm for the purpose of self-defense is not seen as a sufficient reason to own a firearm in Australia. Obviously we've got two massive cultural differences between Australia and America. Obviously you've got the American Constitution and the Civil War, and you've got that whole demographic in America. But in Australia we don't have any of that. I have to say, just so Redemption knows, I disagree with the stance of the Australian government on firearms, and I think that I have every right to own a firearm to protect myself and my family. But under Australian law, if I own if I own a firearm, I have to go and have letters written up by farmers, and these farmers have to have certain property sizes for the caliber I want to use, and I have to give these letters back to the government to prove that I'm shooting animals and I'm hunting. If I want a pistol or a semi-automatic firearm, I have to be part of a specialised gun club, and I have to have a special licence through a gun club for the purpose of sports shooting. So it's highly regulated in Australia. The fact that you have to have you have to have letters, backing letters, you have to have a reason to own a firearm. But this does not stop the criminal underworld. I mean, in Australia, all the criminal underworld do is, when they want firearms, is they just go and find a gunsmith and they just get him to make them. I mean, if people want firearms, at the end of the day, they'll have them. And gun bans do nothing to curtail this. In fact, we had a recent case in Australia because of these laws where the police, elements of the police force were busted giving addresses to the criminal underworld, telling them where registered firearm owners lived so they could break into their houses and steal their pistols and their semi-auto firearms. So yeah, it's very difficult to get a gun. If I want a rifle, I have to buy the rifle, I have to buy a gun safe. The gun safe has to be installed to government standards. I have to take photos of the gun safe. I have to show the bolts I used and everything. I have to send that in, and the government at any time it wants can come to my house and inspect the gun safe. Then, so I have to buy the rifle before I get the license. That rifle has to stay at the gun store. Then I need to apply for the license, which the government can reject or accept. If they reject it, I lose all my money and I lose the firearm that I've purchased already. And if they accept it, then I'm sent a piece of paper. I can go down and pick up that firearm and take it home and put it in my gun cabinet. That process on your first firearm takes 3 months. 3 months to get a firearm. Then after you put in your application to buy a firearm, they do what's called a 1 month cooling down period in case you change your mind. This is after you've purchased a firearm and a safe. You can try and get the license, and after they start processing the license, they just put it on a shelf for a month, and then they start doing it again after the 1 month cooling down period, and eventually you get the firearm. And it takes about another month and a half to 2 months to add any additional firearm to your license. So it's a massive process, massive regulation. And it's weird in Australia, if you talk to people in Australia in general about using a firearm for self-defense, they look at you like you're some sort of kook. They think people who talk about using a firearm for self-defense are weird or dangerous or insane. And but that's the culture that's built up over here. since the government took away all our rights with firearms. And basically, we're at the government's mercy, really. If the government decided to do whatever, there's only a very low proportion of firearms users. Or if the country's attacked, you've got to understand where we live. We live on the cusp of Asia. We're right next to Indonesia, which has 450 million people living there. Anytime they wanted, en masse, they could just walk into the country and virtually take it over. And the population is not armed. You know, we're completely unarmed. And that's just the reality. So that's Australian gun laws, and they suck.
Sean, Omega Man,
gun laws in
brother,
your country make
I
me
got to have you back. I got to have you back on the show, brother. I'll be sure to tell Redemption, let you know when the next show, man. You are killing it. All the brothers here welcome you to the show. This is going good, brother. You is kicking knowledge. You is letting us know how things going on your side, and yes, it is totally different. But I want you to speak on one more thing. You spoke on, when me and you Redemption talk, about self-defense. Pretty much, I think, in sense you're saying using a gun for self-defense is kind of a no-no. You would get in trouble for that. Can you speak on that a little bit? Then I'm going to go back to EK.
Yeah, basically, if you kill somebody who comes into your house, you're charged with murder. So there's not a precedent in Australia where you automatically have the right to shoot somebody dead if they even come onto your property, attack you, start attacking you and your wife and your kids. If I shoot them dead, I'll probably be charged with murder. Not unless you actually have to prove that your life was in mortal danger. In other words, the person's holding a firearm or a weapon. But if they are unarmed, if you shoot them and they turn out not to be armed, you'll be charged with murder, manslaughter at the very least.
Jesus. So, if I heard you right, you do have a small window that if you can prove that your life is in danger, you got a little small window where you can get by, right? Just a small window, right?
That's a small window.
In the large majority of cases, you will be charged. You'll be just treated as a murderer. And I've said to you guys, I've got faith convictions of my own, and I don't want to kill anyone. But I'll tell you right now, if somebody wants to learn about Jesus, they can talk to me, or they can meet him the other way if they want to come into my house. I'll send them directly to, they can go and meet the man in person. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to do whatever I have to do. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect my kids. And if it means killing a man, so be it. If somebody wants to hurt my children, dude, they're going to be dealing. They're going to get killed.
Chris, before you move on to EK.
Hold on, let me ask one more question, brother, because I love hearing this brother speak. So, if you get in trouble for defending your family, and you shoot somebody to try to defend your family, then what sense does they make if the robber come in your house and kill you or somebody in your family? What happens to them?
Yeah, I mean, if they come into the house, it's something just like an aggravated burglary. Obviously, if they kill somebody in the house, they'll be done for murder. But we've had a lot of cases over here where you've had guys who are high on crack come into houses. There was a guy who came into a house and he killed 2 women with a hammer, and then pleaded manslaughter because he was on crack, and said he didn't know what he was doing at the time. And I guess if somebody kills a family member in the house, yes, they'll be tried in exactly the same way. I guess this is what I don't like about it, is the person defending the home and the person attacking the home are basically treated the same. You're not given any special treatment just because you were protecting the home, not unless it was an extreme situation. And I mean, it has to be an extreme situation. Otherwise, you'll be treated the same way to the letter of the law as the guy who actually broke into the house in the first place.
Man, you know that gotta be so crazy, man. That it's almost like if somebody invades your spot, you just gotta deal with it, man. That's pretty much what it sounds like it boils to. That sucks, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Wow, that sucks.
But like I said, I don't. If I have to protect my family, that's what
Right,
I'll do. I'll do what I need. We all will do what we need.
right. Well, I know over here in the U.S., you know, we are. If somebody does try to come in your personal space, we are required to use deadly force. And I think that's in all states of the U.S. Although I could be wrong, maybe Redemption can elaborate on that a little bit if I'm wrong or not on that. Go ahead, Redemption. You have something you want to say, and I'm letting EK say something too.
Yeah, it varies drastically from state to state. So some states are stand your ground state, which means that you have the right to use deadly force in pursuit of protecting your physical self, your family, or your property. Other states are not. Washington D.C., for example, New York are a lot like Australia. California is kind of in between. Texas, Arizona, stand your ground states. Meaning, if you step into somebody's house, if you rob me and I'm in Texas, and you take my wallet and start running off, I can legally shoot you in the back. California, not so much. So in California, we say, if somebody breaks into your house, before you shoot, make sure they're facing you. Because if it looks
Really?
like, oh yeah,
Really?
if you shoot them in the back, then they're going to make the argument. The prosecution's going to make the argument that you gunned down a person who was trying to get away from you. So generally speaking, if someone breaks in, you better make sure that they're facing you, and it'll be better if they happen to be armed and also very large.
Wow.
And there's a good possibility that you're going to go up on some kind of a charge, but California does have a pretty good habit of protecting people's right to defend themselves in a fairly moderate way. But the other thing I was going to say is, for anybody that watches this video up the road, if they get this
They
far,
doing it now, brother. We got some folks watching now, brother. I've been chatting with them
oh sweet,
for the longest since I've been talking, and these people from Soto Nation, these
oh sweet.
people, I am so surprised that they over here, man. Matter of fact, let me shout them out. Celine, dear, thank you so much. Chastity pop up, man. This is awesome. You know, these two chicks be one of the main people that Tommy highly speaks of, man. They over here watching us, brother, supporting me and y'all. How cool
That's
is
pretty
that,
cool.
man? This made my night. It is, man. Thank y'all, ladies. Thank
Hi there,
y'all.
ladies, and thank you. So, anyway, I was
Go
going to
ahead,
say,
man.
for anybody who is of the thought process that getting rid of firearms is a solution, I should point out that I can make a shotgun out of about $20 worth of plumbing fittings found at your common hardware store, and I can make my own powder. So, and then you don't have a serial number and you don't have any ballistics.
Show off.
Exactly. So,
Show off.
well, I'm just, that's not what I was getting at, but I guess my point is once the technology is there, you can't really get rid of it. The gun is here. It's here, and it's here to stay. So getting rid of them is not going to be a solution because a criminal can just make one. You don't even need a gunsmith. You don't need fancy equipment. You can literally make a shotgun out of plumbing fittings, a nail, and a small piece of wood, and it'll work. You're going to need to be point blank when you use it, but it'll work. So it's just not. The gun banning is such a ludicrous argument. It's such an insane thought process that people come up with that they think it'll somehow make things better. But even if you look at a good example, the people that can most benefit from firearms, because it is the great equalizer. Small women and young people, or anybody that's small framed. If you look at the crime stats in Australia, they have what's the population over there in Omega? What's your guys' national population?
I think it's about 5 or 6.
So 5 or 6 million.
Oh no,
Million.
that was a joke. It was a joke, you know, man.
5 or 6. Yeah, you all live under rocks and dirt.
I thought you for
right?
real too. I thought you for real too. I thought you for real. He messed me up there.
What's your
It's just me and my 5 wives. Oh no. I'm the only Australian man. I think it's lower than 50 million.
Population in Australia, 23.13 million. So
yeah,
their population is drastically smaller, and yet having so few firearms, would it surprise you to know that their rape rate is 6% higher than the United States?
I remember you saying that when we chatted the other night. I remember you saying that.
Yep.
So Redemption, let me ask you this. Let me give EK a chance to say something because he took the time to get back on. I want to hear his voice too because he kept getting knocked out. So let me ask you this one last question, and we'll get back to you, brother. For a beginner of using weapons, somebody like me, I don't have a weapon, but I am going to invest in getting one because I do live in Memphis, Tennessee. And when Thomas said this city is ratchet, he's not fucking lying. This city is ratchet. And, you know, it's like nowadays down here in Memphis, you can't even go outside, man, because there's always some shit going on, you know. So for a beginner like me, what would you recommend my first pistol would be?
Well, I'm going to give a specific recommendation for you because I have a pretty okay idea of what the size of your frame is and your height. You're not a small-framed person, or
no, I'm not.
You're built like a brick shithouse, basically. So you know, you could just basically punch people to death. That's an alternative, but don't go 22. And there's a reason I'm going to tell you don't go 22. A 22.
So you just saw what Jay said, right? He said 2209. So you say no 22?
I'm going to say don't go 22, and I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. A 22 is a very bad weapon for killing somebody. Now, you can kill somebody with it, but it's a bad weapon for killing a person. I have a 22 handgun. I use it as a training weapon to teach new people. When you're learning firearms, you're gonna find that, especially with short arms like handguns, there's there's recoil that takes place, and it's good to teach yourself not to try to compensate for that recoil because that will damage your aim. So generally speaking, people start people on 22s because there's hardly any recoil at all. However, unless you want to then buy 2 firearms so that you can have one to learn on and then one for self-defense, I would say for the size of your frame, you would be fine going with a 380 or, as our European brothers would call it, a 9mm short, or an American 9mm would be fine. Anything above that, you start to get into heavier recoil, like 40 cal or 45. But 380, 9mm are both okay rounds for killing people if that's what you need to do. And you can find them like freely available. Like Smith & Wesson MP Shield is a concealed carry compact firearm, 8-round capacity. They have it at 9mm. You can walk out of the store with it for around $470, less depending on the state you're living in. So I would say go 9mm or above. But for your size, for your size, you should be able to handle anything all the way up to 44 mag, no problem.
Okay, thanks, brother. Let me let EK join in. EK, how this got started about the gun situation? We was talking about the shooting in Minnesota. I was asking Redemption. I was asking Redemption because he's an expert in weapons, and we was trying to see in his opinion what did he think went wrong. You know, if the police did tell him to reach while he's sitting in the car, did he make a mistake on his part, or could it be a possibility that the guy probably was reaching for this gun and maybe trying to do some damage? So I know you saw the news on that, brother. Give me your thoughts on that.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to do. I was trying to make a mental note the whole time everybody was talking, so I'm going to do this in 3 parts. Please bear with me.
You got the flow. Go ahead. You got the flow.
First, Redemption. Do me a favor. Chris's question. I own firearms too, and it's funny that I have been fortunate that I guess like a chameleon, I'm around people who see I have a thirst for knowledge. So I get knowledge imparted to me from a lot of people who normally wouldn't share it. And when I say this, it cuts across everything that I do, but specifically in regards to firearms, firearm safety, training, and even the theory behind why you would want to own or buy a firearm. When Chris asked the question, and I don't care if you're listening to this in the Hangout, I don't care if they watch this down the road, I don't care if it's the people in the chat room. Understand one thing as a gun owner, as a gun instructor. When somebody asks you, what should I buy as a firearm? If you do not own one yet, even if you do own one, the first question is, what is your sole purpose? Okay? Omega, I guess in Australia, and I'll get to that later. I want to jump off topic.
You have to remember
but here's
this
the thing
our
with
first.
this.
You have to remember that this is
I like
our
it.
first
I like
No, wait, let me finish. Let me finish. I understand that. But most people like me who heard that question, and don't get me wrong, every time everybody asks me that question, I don't care if I've told you 1,000 times, I'll say it again. My neighbor recently said, watch this, she was mugged 15 years ago, I think, 13, 14, 15 years ago, swore off guns forever. Her son was gifted a BB gun. She confiscated it. When I got, my firearms recently, she found out about it. She didn't want me to show him or have them around him. I got all of that. So I want you to understand where I'm going with this. Imagine my surprise when she comes to my house one Saturday morning. What gun should I buy? My question is, why the hell do you want one? If you just picked up hunting, great, we'll buy you want it for self-defense, we'll talk about that. But one thing people never seem to consider. If you've ever shot, you can testify to this. If you've ever been at a range and you fire something that has a very, I won't say very slow, but slow enough muzzle velocity that you can see the round down range, you can see it.
Yeah, 45.
You know that once you pull the trigger, well, here's my thing. I want you to understand something. You know that once the bullet has flown, it's no longer in your hands. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
That is a very, very important responsibility that people don't think about. If that bullet hits its target, whatever that target is, you have to deal with the consequences. Most people, I want it for self-defense. I don't know anybody, well, let me rephrase this now. Anybody who has done it, taking a life, knowing that you did it. Me, what should I buy as the first gun? I ask them, how do you feel about killing? I don't care if it's an animal, I don't care if it's a person. Because it can happen. You need to always think of your backstops. You always need to think of the.
Oh yeah,
if absolutely. I shoot something with a, you understand? So at some point, the conversation about gun ownership for me is very personal. That said, once I understand what they want it for, I can then now advise not only on gun safety but then choice. Now, in listening to Omega, well, hold on, let me finish. In listening to Omega talk, one thing that most people don't understand that's anecdotal, not only about the United States but Australia, Liberia, and I want to say there's something else. I've lost it now. America, technically, all right, in its early stages, all right, once we thwarted the colonialism and gained our independence, in the early stages, to colonize the rest of the United States, they sent the same way they did with Australia. They gave the criminals an alternative: either serve your prison sentence or go out here and colonize this place. It was kind of like either death by chance or by certainty. And those guys went out there, and that's why we had the Wild West. Those clowns were out there surviving. But they colonized, the Wild West. Same thing with Australia. In Liberia, it was free slaves. The idea, the mentality behind the way the culture grows up is a little different. Here, we were, I don't know, what do you want to say, oppressed,
We were held back by colonial masters. We fought for our freedom. So at some point, it was at gunpoint. It was bloody. You understand? So at some point, that was written into the Constitution that at no point in time should we ever let the government to oppress the citizens that way. It's a little different when Australia decided to crack down on their gun ownerships. It's because stuff like what's happening now happened there, and they're like, well, let's just try this. Bam! They banned all guns, and it's weird how statistics work. Okay, so you ban guns, and maybe gun violence drops, but gun violence will drop if it's kind of like supply and demand. If you need a gun supply to create high gun crime, then if you choke off the supply, then you also choke off the stats. It doesn't mean that the crime is stopped. It just means it's dwindled. And who are the most people who are going to be doing the crime? Criminals, who really don't care about the law anyway. So I understand in Australia's case, that would work on paper, but doesn't really work in real life. And I really feel
it doesn't.
Right, I really feel bad that at some point in defending your personal property or your family or yourself, you now have to do that and then go to explain to somebody why you did it. But when it goes back to what you were talking about, and this is something that's peculiar, to the United States. The different states having different laws regards to gun ownership and carry and so on and so forth. In Maryland, you can buy these firearms, and here's something else. We regulate almost everything. You have to be a certain age where you can drink. You have to exhibit a certain degree of competence before you can drive. But up until recently in Maryland, I think it was last October, maybe it was last October, you could literally walk into a Walmart. I think you still can with certain firearms, certain long rifles. You can just buy and go home. Some guns have a 30-day wait period. Some you have to. But recently now, you have to show competency. And at some point, I don't see that as a bad thing. But some people are pushing against it. And this is what the NRA is doing. They're trying to say, hey, guess what? You telling people that they can't own these things, it kind of gives the upper hand to the guys. All these firearms, about going to Home Depot and buying the stuff you need. Every single one of these firearms was fabricated, made, which means if you have the skill and the tools, you can make an AR-15. You can. The blueprints are out there. It's not,
I'm in the process of making. I'm in the process of making what they call a Ghost AR-15 right now.
So here's my point. And 3D printers are out there. 3D printers are out there. But my point is, here's my point. When it comes to an individual owning it in a concealed carry state, I will tell you right now, living in the DMV, I have had, and I guess it's just my personal experience, I've been in contact with police officers of so many different calibers, being in the wrong myself, but nothing untoward has gone down. It stems a lot from the fact of the way I view a lot of the interactions I've had with people of all different backgrounds. So if I'm talking to a black police officer, I talk to him one way. I talk to a white police officer, I talk to him one way. I talk to a Hispanic police officer, I talk to him one way. It's a police officer regardless, but behind the badge, under the uniform, it's a guy like me who went to work, is doing his job, and technically, if he perceives me to be committing an offense as he knows it, it's not our interaction to decide if I'm right or wrong. It's his job to say, I think this is wrong, go talk to the judge. It's my job to say, okay, that's your thought, have a good evening, see you later. Unfortunately, and we're talking about information that we've seen in the news and all that, I see both sides. I see good cops, I see bad cops. In light of the few shootings, there's just been a torrent of videos and all this stuff, and you can take it at whatever, but there was one that just really stuck with me. A guy's taking his pregnant wife, emergency to the hospital. She's about to deliver. They get pulled over. He's on the phone with 911. They tell him, pull over and talk to them. They take him out the car. They beat the crap out of him. And while the guy's saying, hey, it's funny, she really is pregnant, blah, blah, blah. So what are you going to do? Says, I don't care. I'll delete the tape. Now, see, that guy right there, I'd be afraid to talk to. But at some point, I've never gone above and beyond to try and explain why I was late to pull over. I've never gone above and beyond to say, oh, I'm going to reach for nothing if I know I have a concealed weapon. We've gone to the range before with multiple firearms and tons of ammunition in the car and got pulled over before.
I really
We
want
get
to
out the car. We get out the car. The guy pulls all the weapons out. He pulls all the ammunition out. He asks for all the documentation. Backup arrives. It looks like a SWAT team is sitting there. They check everything out. Everything's cool. We load everything back in the car. We put all the ammo back in. And then they ask us when next we're coming through because they want to shoot some of the stuff we got. Do you understand?
Yeah,
These guys want to go home. There's a very small percentage. There's a very small percentage of guys that you will have an interaction with that you will not go home from. It's a very small. And I pray that the interactions between those and innocent people are few and far between. But there's no amount of forethought that can go. That's just a tragedy of life. Flying by airplane is deemed as one of the safest modes of travel. But every time you hear a plane crash, you think maybe I shouldn't fly anymore. But what are you going to do? Now, in my mind, the conversation about what goes on shouldn't be about are we disrespecting police officers. I personally know more than a couple of guys who tried to get on the police force who I know just did it because of their egos. And it's sad to think that they want to use that to fulfill their, I don't know, childhood dream of being a bigger person. But I also do know a lot of police officers who don't even want you to know that they're police officers. They do their job, and they do it exceptionally well. So, it's a really roundabout topic. But at some point, it's really tragic that a lot of lives were lost, needlessly at some point, either due to, a lot of times, either the incompetence of the officer, high tensions, accidental discharges, or a lot of times, just belligerence on the part of the person who was being pulled over. But, at the end of the day, when we talk about, okay, Chris, if you really, really, really do want to own it, I don't say yes or no. I say you really need to look into gun ownership first. The responsibility of owning one. It's kind of like, if I want to have a kid, should I have a boy or a girl? Wait a minute. Are you ready for Pampers? Are you ready for formula? Are you ready for daycare? It's 18 years of your life. The responsibilities of gun ownership are vast and manifold, and just having it is just the beginning. All these child accidental deaths that we by gun owners who didn't understand gun ownership and the kids got them, that's part of it. So I say don't, but a lot of people need to understand that guns do not kill on their own. I fill mine up. I have exercise I do myself. When my daughter's not home, I pull all my firearms safety off, fully loaded, one in the chamber. I walk around the house. I move around the house. I do it because mentally around firearms, you always need to know that at any point in time, you can discharge, you may kill, you may do whatever. You need to be of that mindset. And so I do that to remind my daughter the same way. When she's around, she always wants to go to the range. We do the safety thing all the time. And, at some point, it's just so that, hopefully that kind of information, I don't want her to be around her friends. Ooh, look, we found a gun in the street. Let's go play with it. She's not going to be that one. She's the first one to say, we found a gun. She'll check the chamber. She'll remove the clip. She'll take all the bullets out. If it's a gun she's familiar with, she might even take out the firing pin. And then decide, hey, Dad, we found this. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I just wanted to do all of this because sometimes I feel like the conversation. Huh? Yeah.
Right, yeah. I hear your passion, brother. And I love your passion, brother. I love it. But redemption, say he had a couple of things that he want to say on something that you mentioned. So, yeah, I want to give him a chance to say what he want to say, then let you come back to it.
Yeah, I want to establish a couple of things. The problem is you've gone on so far, I'm starting to forget what I wanted to get out. So this is possibly my third conversation with Chris about firearms. So my first response to him was when he said, what should I get? I said, get a couple hours at minimum of training with a range master. That was my first comment to him. So I know you don't know me real well, so I'm just going to go into a brief synopsis of my firearms history. I'm a former Marine and a combat veteran, so I'm keenly aware of the amount of destruction that a firearm can do. I mean, very keenly aware in a way that most people aren't. So I have to say, I get that, but that's the kind of thing that you impart during training. My main thing is talking to him about a caliber of firearm that will be adequate for what he's talking about doing. The 22 is not an adequate firearm for what he's talking about needing. It's to ensure that he gets the right piece of equipment. Training and stuff is not something, and you know this as well as I do, training is not the sort of thing that can be done remotely.
Correct.
It's an in-person, it's a trade. It needs to be learned on, quote unquote, on the job, person to person. So I don't see that necessarily as my responsibility because I'm not his firearms instructor. That said, though, I get the accidental discharge, negligent discharge. I get your points on it, and I agree with you. In fact, accidental discharge, child death, negligent firearms behavior is the only place that the anti-firearms crowd has any leg to stand on whatsoever. And I agree, it's a problem. However, when you're talking about letting somebody else push the buttons that decide what your freedom is, I don't know that I agree that our government, who is barely capable of managing itself, should have the right to decide what I need and when I need it.
You and I are both on the same side of the same coin, bro. I just, don't get me wrong. Everything you said, I agree with it. I don't know if you can see my thumbs up. At some point, I have not heard your conversation with Chris hitherto, and I don't know that a lot of other listeners or whatever have heard it. I just preface every conversation about gun ownership that I've ever had with anybody with, why do you want one? Do you understand what it means if you own one?
Yeah.
And before, and some people are really into it. Some people are like, well, I never thought about it this way before, and that's okay. Now let's go to the range. And when they see what firearms can actually do, I'll give you a scenario, brief one. My daughter and I went to the gun range one time, and she's aware, but we were there with somebody else one time, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start you from scratch. So the whole idea of until you're ready to fire, keep your finger off the trigger guard. She didn't get it all day. So I said, let me show you something. So I'm talking to her, and I'm literally muzzling everybody, right? Literally, finger off the trigger guard, and then I slipped it in the trigger guard while she wasn't looking. I had it downrange, and I said something to her. We're talking, I just pulled the trigger. Pow! If you saw her face, it was priceless.
Oh, I bet
it looked like an accident to her, but that was the lesson. If this sucker goes off, you are done. It was in your hand when it happened. Keep your finger out the trigger guard. That's one lesson out of how many? There was a video online the other day. A county sheriff shot his finger off in a gun store. How? The guy who handed the gun, nobody checked the chamber.
Nobody cleared it, huh? Yeah.
Nobody cleared it.
Oh, we've had colonels do that shit, in
first rule of Fight Club, clear the damn chamber. Second rule of Fight Club, clear the damn chamber. Third rule of Fight Club, you can never clear the chamber enough.
Exactly.
So we're on the same page, bro, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It seems like I yell it a lot. Folks don't get it. They want to get a gun. They see it in the movies. You're big and bad. Unless you've dropped something with a bullet and watch.
Wait. Brother, don't never be embarrassed about you yelling, brother. Hey, I love your passion, man. We need this in the group. I love your passion. I get what you're saying. You winded, but I get what you're saying, brother. And for me not to have a firearm, I didn't think about that. What would be my purpose of getting one for? So I feel everything you're saying, brother. So don't feel bad because you're yelling, man. Because I saw you when I was talking to Redemption. You were ready to say something. You were doing this right here. I said, let me get to him, man. You just let it all out, brother.
One of the things
because a lot of times I watch a lot of situations. Don't get me wrong. I will tell you right now, and Redemption, if you think about it, if you watch a lot of those videos with cop-involved shootings, a lot of them, I will say like maybe a third. I've seen where the cop shot, first round goes out, and you can tell he's like, fuck, what just happened? You know what I'm saying? Like it was a mistake, like the first one. And you can tell, even though the situation may have warranted the use of deadly force, he doesn't want to be the one to have done it. Nobody does. But we're so desensitized by media, by the movies, that, oh, blah, 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 we'll shoot and it'll be okay. If you've never watched life expire at your hands, you have no idea what it's like if you send a round downrange and it hits somebody. You have no idea.
Well,
and I've watched officers leave I've watched officers that first killed, they just quit. I've seen it. People don't know this. A lot of people can't handle the fact that they killed somebody.
Oh yeah,
they can't.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, having spent time overseas, and I guess more of a cautionary thing for people that are looking. It's even though you're doing the right thing, even if you are doing the right thing, it still doesn't feel good.
Exactly.
I'll tell you the first couple of times. Actually, really not even the first couple of times. Every time that I've had to point a loaded firearm at another living, breathing human being, you lose a little
bit of your soul.
Yeah,
a little bit of your soul, it's gone.
And
a little bit of your soul is gone because you're afraid one day that you will do it and you won't feel anything. And technically, that is the day that you no longer are human. And everybody does understand what we feel as empathy towards another human being. If you lose that, you cease to become human. And people don't understand that that's the quickest way to do it. A firearm, remotely, you take a life, you still did it, and it takes a little bit out of you at a time. Some people, it takes all of them.
Oh, yeah.
So, I am all for every... I will tell you this, Chris, and both of you, Redemption, Chris, everybody listening. I guarantee you, if every single person in this country owned a firearm, crime would probably drop like negative numbers for the mere fact you don't know if the jackass you're about to mug is going to blow you away. Was what that thing called? A judge or whatever? I've watched a lot of people in situations where they don't real. Anybody here ever been to a gun range? We've talked about this many times. You know where there is never any crime? Any crime at a gun range. You know why?
Once ever, and that was the shooting of the SEAL.
Oh yeah, that one guy. Right. What's his name? Chris. Yeah. Okay. But that's you know what I'm saying. But you're not gonna ever. The reason is because all these jackasses at the range want a reason to unload their weapon into you for just cause. You ain't gonna go up there, break into somebody's car, try to steal a gun. They're just waiting. So that won't happen there. Imagine if that was the grocery store. Imagine that was at the bar you go to, the hardware store, at school. You're not gonna do it. You're not.
It's not an accident that the people who do these mass shootings target gun-free zones. There's no accident.
Exactly. Because if you know you're going to get, okay, watch this. And it's a joke. It was a tragedy. But the DC sniper, you remember that story?
Yeah.
They call him the DC sniper. He never shot anybody in DC. You want to know why? They would have shot back.
Yep.
You understand?
No, yeah.
There are certain places, even somebody who you're not shooting at, see you shooting at people, he don't know why, he'll shoot you. Yeah, it's that kind of world. So technically, I'm not advocating, gun violence or that everybody should just go out and buy a gun. But at some point, you temper this hysteria with a little logic. And so if people get smart about firearms,
sobering logic.
There we go. At some point, yes.
A loaded firearm sobers people up real quick, especially when
all you need is that little trick. Show them something. I remember there was a movie.
Hold on for one quick minute. People from Soto Nation, DJ Just J just came in the chat room. This is freaking awesome, man. Y'all making my night as well as the people coming in the chat room.
Who came in?
DJ Just J, okay. DJ, do you want to get on the panel, brother, or are you fine in the chat room? Do you want to get on the panel? Go ahead, EK. I'll wait for him to respond. Go ahead, EK. My bad.
Yeah, no. I mean, God, I don't even know where to go with this. But like I said, the sobering logic of gun ownership and the tragedy of loss of life at the end of a firearm. A lot of people look at it in the heat of the moment, and I don't like that it takes for something to happen for people to decide, I want to own one, or nobody should have any. You know what I'm saying? It takes a little bit of.
Well, for me, it's always just been a way of life, so I agree with you.
Right. But you see, some people are like, something happens, bow, I need a gun. Something else happens, bow, nobody should own them. I'm like, wait a minute, how do you in the spur of the moment, just right now because of one incident, decide on such a drastic change of policy? Why not look at all the anecdotal evidence, think about it, and the funny thing about it was training. I remember the most sobering, for me, the most sobering part of owning a gun was watching, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was an older movie, but these two kids were playing with the firearm. I think like a 57. It's a movie that was set maybe like in the 1800s. And the guy comes up to the back porch and he watches them talking bang bang, pointing at each other. He says, "Hey, what are you doing? Let me see that." He didn't panic. He didn't make them think I was doing anything wrong. He says, "Wow, this is nice. It's pretty, huh? It's a gun, isn't it? Maybe it shoots. Let me shoot something." And he said, "Hey, you see that pumpkin over there?" And the two boys were like giggling, whatever. He said, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, shoot that pumpkin." And he pulled the goddamn trigger. Loudest explosion they ever heard. Pumpkin was obliterated. Those two boys peed their pants. They couldn't move. Mouths wide open. Eyes wide open. You understand? From that day forward, you could leave that in front of them on the kitchen table. They would not touch it. You understand?
Yeah,
now later on, you want to take them hunting.
That's right. Yeah. In my home, I got kids too. In my home, we have a remove the mysticism of it procedure here. And I do the same thing. When my dad came home with his first gun, he was, I was 12. I was excited. Guns were the coolest thing in the world. And my dad loaded the gun, put a mag in it, racked the slide, put a round in the chamber, and put the gun in my hands. And he says, "Do you still think it's cool?" And I was 12 at the time. My hand started doing one of these, shaking, and I said, "Maybe not so much." He goes, "Do you still want to go to the range?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "All right, we'll teach you how to use it properly." And I do something similar with the kids, except I don't load it. Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, my dad.
No, I mean, my daughter. It's funny because my daughter now, she's 13, but she's been shooting. She's actually, and I will tell everybody can laugh, and I'm not proud of it. Second time out, she and I went to the range with my friend who was my instructor at the time. She outshot me, and she has outshot me since. She's outshot me since. But I've told her, and I don't stop telling her, I make her watch movies. There is one very good movie that I make people watch, and you don't get the message till the end. It's called Tokarov. And, it's about how the mysticism of guns can make kids do stupid things. I wanted her to get that because she is around a lot of firearms that her friends have never seen. They've never been around. She's not excited. You understand? She wants it. She's passionate. She's enthusiastic, but she's not excited if you show her a gun. You understand? Some of these kids are like, "Oh my God, a gun! Let me see." And I'm like, "Wait, why are you so hyped? This is not a game. It's not it's not a toy." My daughter understands that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so she gets virtually like what is it called? Mamba competitive, like Kobe. Like, okay, you show her a gun, in her mind, cool, chamber, ammo, make sure muzzle's always downrange, finger out of trigger guard. Dad, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, shoot, I'm looking at you, I don't see anything, but as long as the finger's not on the trigger, there's nothing in the round, and he's not pointing at me, we're good. Her friends are not that way. Ooh, your dad's got a Glock, can I see? And they pointed to each other. No. We're not having that conversation. You understand?
Yeah.
And so I'm all for, and I will say this, Chris, there's always been the conversation about what we should get as a firearm. Some people want to plink with 22s for target practice, and you go to 9s and have a little bit more weight to them, but not much. 380s, stopping power, 45s. FBI went to them because they don't have the time to tell a criminal, a felon, "Hey, you stop moving." They put the man down, 1 or 2 shots. I found that the best round, depending on what you're doing, I would suggest if you want a handgun, Not a rifle, because that's a whole different category of stuff itself. But if you want a handgun, I would suggest, and maybe maybe you have a different take on this, Redemption, getting a 40 caliber of whatever strikes your fancy. It has to be something comfortable, but a lot of manufacturers, aftermarket manufacturers, make scaled down barrels and magazines that'll fit into your 40 that go down 380, 9 millimeter, and 22. That way you can feel comfortable target practicing, repetitive shooting your gun, and then work your way up back to the recoil of the 40. But I'll tell you right now, I've seen, and it's sad to say, I've seen guys take 2 or 3 9 millimeter slugs and keep coming. And that's the last thing you want if you want it for home defense.
That can happen. The only reason that I didn't suggest a 40, and I agree with you, when you talk about the blend of stopping power versus caliber size versus recoil
yeah.
I love the 40. The 40 is probably the perfect round, especially if you're dealing with a human-sized threat. The only reason I don't recommend the 40 to new shooters is, and I'm sure you know this as well, you're familiar with compensating for recoil, right?
Correct.
Bad habit.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I said. You get the 40.
You know.
Right, you get the 40, but you don't shoot the 40 out the gate, and that's why I said. Like, I will tell you right now, up until recently, I was never a Glock fan because it was ugly. But when you start to use it and you realize how, what is it called? What's what I'm looking for? It's so adaptable. They make so many barrels to scale it down. You can get a 380, you can get a 9 millimeter, a 22 barrel for that gun, and it's the same pistol. Correct. You know, it's the same pistol, so you can start there. Like, you can buy the 40, not shoot it as a 40.
My only
40
concern,
without buying another gun.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. My only concern would be him compensating for the recoil and that causing accuracy issues or fundamental shooting issues. Right. But you know, as long as he's learning,
if he scales it down. Scales it down, that we know that we're not, and he it's a learning process back up. But he can do that without having to come out of pocket for another pistol. Like, if he spends money on the 22, then he's done with the 22. He's got to now go buy a 9. Then he's done with the 9. Now he's got to go buy a 40 or whatever, or 45. If you buy the,
but it's not chambered. Sorry, go ahead.
And I do think at some point, I do remember seeing there was a whatchamacallit, version kit for the 57. So technically, if he ever got that high up and wanted it for home defense, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, the trick is just finding something the trick is just finding something that fits you. Like, see the Glock?
It's comfortable.
Yeah, my dad has a Glock 40. I can't remember what model that is, but it's the full size with the 15-round mag. And that's one of his carry weapons. But I'm not a big fan of it because of the length of my fingers. I can't get a comfortable high rest on the grip. So I elect to go more for a single stack style, like the MP Shield. Yeah, exactly. So a good example, I'm just going to throw this up on screen. This is...
hey, wait a second.
That's an MP Shield.
I hate to do...
Go ahead.
I hate to do this. I think between you and I, putting everybody to sleep, Chris, because it seems like he's going off a gun owner's tangent here, and I'm like,
So, anyways, before we close it up, that's the MP Shield. This is a pretty okay firearm for a concealed carry, and you can get it in 40 or you can get it in 9. And I think they do have interchangeable barrels as well, though I'm not positive.
Right.
But it's got a comfortable. The grip is comfortable. That's the main thing for me, you know.
And that's why I said, when people ask me, I said, you know what? Let's go to the range. We'll rent all their guns there. You find out what feels comfortable. We'll go to stores. You find out what feels comfortable, what you like, and then from then on, I mean, the purchase is a personal one. But I really caution people at some point are evil or not. The gun itself, you could load that thing up, put one in the chamber, put it on the table, and it will be there for 100 years. It won't kill anybody.
That's right.
At some point, it needs human interaction before it does any damage. And when people say, "Oh, something happened to gun," wait, same stuff happened to you or 100 million other people last week. Now you need a gun, or this happened. Oh, nobody should ever have guns. What? You know, I don't have evidence. So that's why when it comes to the question of me, I really want to make sure that people open their eyes and do a little bit more interest just to own a gun. And like I said, I wish they would make. Remember the what was it called? The prohibition. Remember that when they banned alcohol?
Yeah. You're talking about
how did way back in the day when they banned alcohol. Okay, how well did that work? That's technically why we have NASCAR today.
Oh, and it worked out horribly, and then of course from it we got the NFA, if you're familiar with that.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I can't buy suppressor because of it at that point.
Yeah, which is bullshit because it's better for you as a shooter.
Wait.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say this, man. You and EK, y'all pretty much running the rest of the show by yourself, man. Y'all killing this shit, you know.
Nope, I told you. I said we're going off on a tangent.
No. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You actually got people in my chat room talking about this. They loving this, brothers. They loving this, man. I want to thank y'all personally, man, for keeping it logic, you know. You were saying earlier, you know, man, I raised my voice. Bro, don't be ashamed of it, man. I love that passion. You think you hollering, you out of here, Carlotta. And that's who you out of here. You think you doing something, you out of here when she speaks. That woman is loud, but she speaks with logic just like you do, brother, and she speaks with passion. That's why I love that girl. That's why I love all these guys who support me in this, you know what I'm saying? Jay, my brother. Paul, my brother from another mother. Huggy P, Chris Grant. Everybody up in here, you know what I'm saying? Chaos showing me love. DJ Just Jay showing me love. Chastity, Celine, all this and came in. Damn, man, y'all made a brother night. You know what I'm saying, man? Hey, again, y'all, thanks to me. I love y'all for that, man. Y'all in the chat and y'all on the panel. So I'm probably gonna shut it down in about 30 minutes to another hour. So I probably should open up another panel so we could talk about specifically about the gun thing because I'm always have been interested about the gun laws and it's good to see EK that you do have a background that you was able to speak of that as well. Because like I said, bro, when Rendition was talking, you were just doing this right here. I said, woo, he got something on his mind, bro.
A little bit. I don't have, excuse me, I don't have a lot of topics that I'm sensitive about. But the ones that I do, like, you know, I'll sit here all day long. Like earlier, we were talking about, you know, like slurs and all that stuff. And I'm kind of ambivalent about how I feel about some of them sometimes. So I really, you know, I really won't push. But if it's something that I have intimate knowledge of on both sides, at some point, I'm not going to impress an opinion on anybody, but I will impress. You're not just going to follow the herd around me. You will not. You will draw a line in the sand, and you will pick a side. And then you will defend it. And if you don't want to do that, then you don't talk about the issue around me. It's very simple. Don't say everybody should buy a gun if you do not know what will happen.
I need to stop y'all one more time. I'm sorry. I need to stop y'all one more time. Jay, Paul, they are asking me to actually open up another panel. What you think, brother? They say keep it going. They loving it, bro. You think I should open another panel?
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you're running this. It's your world. We just talking.
No, because my thing is, you know, y'all doing so good, man. I would hate to stop it and then start a new one, you know, and get y'all to start it back over again. So I kind of want to let this run.
What's your time frame? I don't know how this works. What's your time window? How does this work? I don't know what your time window is. How long have you been on this one?
You could do it for up to 8 hours, but come on, I don't think we got nothing to talk about for 8 hours. I don't.
Don't tempt me. You know, so. Don't tempt me.
You can fall down that firearms hole for 10 or 15 minutes.
Literally. We'll go from that to everything else. We got topics for days out here.
EK,
I tell you what. Hold on, wait. I tell you what. somebody just said open up a new since we switched topics. That kind of makes sense. Jay just said it. So okay, hold on. Let me pose this. If I open another panel, Chaos, DJ, August, all y'all need to get on it, brother. I don't care if you don't know about the guns. Just get on it, man. At least pop your head in and say, hey, if y'all say y'all will, I'll do it.
I'll do it. Hey, Chris, before we go real quick. Hey, Chris, you over there?
Yeah,
Redemption.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, real question, real quick. Damn, I don't want to do this a lot. You know what? Chris, is there any way that you can inbox me or something through Hangouts? Redemption. Is there any ways to do that? Redemption. Because his name.
Yeah,
Redemption. Yeah. Is there any way you can inbox me on Hangouts, or whatever?
I'm not sure if I can.
Because it shows up on my screen as Chris. That's why I'm calling both of you Chris.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that.
Okay. With the white Chris, call him Redemption. He's Redemption. Just
okay. Yeah.
Chris
okay. Redemption. Yeah. Because his name Chris. Because it shows up on my screen as Chris. My bad.
Yeah. Okay.
If you set up a new one, and then give me the link, I can pop over there and we can continue. But there's a question I want to ask Redemption real quick before we go. You know, it's not really major. So we can do that.
Okay, go ahead.
I can see your Google Plus page, but I can't actually see your email.
All right. Do me a favor. Can you I do know what I want to do, and I think I can do it. So, Chris, you want to start the other room? What do you want to do? I'm good with that.
Chris Thorns, all you got to do is shut down, stop broadcasting via YouTube. You don't even have to close out the Hangouts, and then go back into your YouTube live settings, reset up the new panel, and then open it back up, and then go live whenever you're ready. That's all that has to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. But for me to do this, I do have to shut this one down. This will have to get shut down if I'm going to run a live one. Now, if I'm going to run a regular one where it don't be live, if they want it live, I do it live. But if y'all just want a regular hangout, I just do a regular hangout.
No, I think it needs to go live. I really do think because at some point the people who are listening to us, they probably want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? If they're not going to be with us, they probably want to see it tomorrow. It would be they wanted to be here. Yeah, I think you should record it. I mean, sometimes folks want to hear shit.
Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run this one. I'm gonna run it probably no more than an hour, because this one already long enough. So, but I do want DJ them to come in, at least say, hey, because these brothers took the time to come over and at least speak, pop their head and come in the chat room with the help of Celine and Chastity. You know what I'm saying, man? This has been an awesome night for me, but I'm glad I didn't have to go to work. I would have missed all this shit. So
I'm gonna go live again.
Yeah, that's what I'm finna do. So I'm gonna shut this down, man. We're gonna open up another one.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right.
Yeah. So let me know if you gonna shut this down. How that works.
I seen the link. I seen the link.
Okay.
You want to stay in